What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7 AC. Chapter 116. The Horror of the Charlotte Family. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The semi-military management mode makes the emergency response speed of the white paper flower pirates comparable to that of Marine, and the assembly was completed in just half a day. Headed by the Mountain Demon Bullet, the three vassal pirates, the Big Eddie Spider, the Ice Witch, and the Ranger, have a total of 3,000 troops to pioneer the way, and take the pirate ship transformed by Frankenstein Floyd and equipped with a super jet acceleration device. Heading straight to Charlotte's Sea of Nations. The remaining 60,000 troops quickly completed the transformation of the pirate ship under the leadership of the 10 captains headed by Phoenix Marco and Fire Fist Ace, all of which were equipped with the super jet acceleration device produced by Floyd. Hours all set out. According to Floyd, with the blessing of these jet acceleration devices, it only takes 2 days at most for the soldiers and horses led by the three demons to rush from the White Paper Flower Sea area to the 10,000 Kingdom Sea area. And if the second-line soldiers led by Marco and Ace don't stop on their way, they will arrive in 2 days and 6 hours. In this era of great navigation where most of the sea travel relies on wind power, the jet acceleration technology developed by Floyd has an absolute advantage, which can greatly shorten the time for the army to attack. Hundreds of warships, the pirate flag with white paper flowers and skulls fluttered against the sea breeze, and 60,000 troops marched out with a murderous aura, rushing mightily on the raging sea and raging waves, and the murderous aura was hidden everywhere they passed. Sad clouds, passing merchant ships and pirate ships are afraid to avoid them, and the news that the white paper flower pirate army is heading to the seas of all nations is spreading like wildfire. The 10 captains and the 60,000 troops had just set off, and Namur, the captain of the 8th squad, came back with the seriously injured and dying Hexia Jinbei to plead guilty. Captain Lei Luo, my subordinates have been convicted, but there is a reason for the incident. Namur half-kneeled in front of Lei Luo, explaining what happened one by one. It turned out that before Ross Perot and the others arrived, he had received a message from his subordinates that he had found the seriously injured Hexia Jinbei on the edge of Beizihua's territorial waters, and immediately rushed to rescue him. At that time, Jinbei was extremely weak, so we had to give him emergency treatment first, which wasted time and made Ross Perot and others take advantage of the situation. Lei Luo first got Man Shuili to give Jinbei a comprehensive treatment, and then looked at Namur who had been kneeling on the ground for a long time. You are the captain of the 8th division, you know the rules, go and get the punishment yourself. Lei Luo said coldly, the leader of the first team must not be tolerated if he makes mistakes, otherwise the whole team will be led astray, not to mention that Namur and his 8th team are responsible for the submarine patrol of the entire territorial waters, which has too much to do with it. Yes, Lei Luo went on to say, it was a mistake for you to leave your post without permission, and you will be punished, you deserve a reward for rescuing Jinbei. After receiving the punishment, go to Karina to receive the reward. Thank you Captain Lei Luo for your grace. Remember, if there is another time to leave your post without permission, you don't have to do it, Captain of the 8th Division. Yes, as soon as Namur was dealt with, Bramenko, the captain of the 6th Division and the boatman, came to Lei Luo. Captain Lei Luo, the follower ships of Kaidisaster are ready. Lei Luo nodded. Good. Notify the 9th Division, the 10th Division, and the 13th Division to take a follower ship, and you and the 6th Division members will board the natural disaster. Yes, the 9th Division led by Blenheim, the captain of the 9th Division, is good at hand-to-hand combat, boarding battles, and landing battles. The 10th Squad led by Kuli Al, the captain of the 10th Squad, is good at gun battles, artillery battles, and long-range fire coverage, and this Kuli Al himself is an outstanding artillery commander. The 13th Division captain, Buffalo Atmos, led the 13th Division when they were in the Whitebeard Pirates. These three captains are the captains of the follower ship selected by Lei Luo early in the morning. The three captains and the three divisions cooperate to cover almost all the methods of sea combat and landing combat. In the 6th Division led by Bramank, each combatant is an excellent ship craftsman, an indispensable role for any fleet or fleet. There was a chilling and tyrannical aura on Lei Luo, since he wanted to start a war, he had to hit the opponent with the momentum of thunder and lightning, defeat the opponent, and destroy him in one fell swoop. Come to the coastal pier of Nessus with the slapping ghosts. A huge ship a circle larger than the Moby DK came into view. White paper flowers were carved on the side of the ship, and the stern was embossed with ghost faces. As for the bow, there were two lifelike Shinigami holding sickles in relief. This is Lei Luo's 4 Emperors class car, with the keel forged from the Atom Tree, the Calamity designed and supervised by the captain of the 6th team, Bramenko, and Frankenstein Floyd. And behind the Calamity, there are 3 small 2-circle ships with the same shape, but each has only one Ecstasy Shinigami ship. These are the 3 follower ships of the Calamity. The captains and members of the 4 divisions have already started to board the ship. The 9 snakes of the 9 snake pirates are slowly approaching this side, and Boa Hancock and Karina are standing on the coastal pier. Seeing Lei Luo approaching, Boa Hancock immediately greeted with a smile. Captain Lei Luo, can you take me to learn something personally? I have never seen a frontal battle between the 4 Emperors pirates. Lei Luo said indifferently. Go if you want, just don't make trouble for me. Regarding the reason for Boa Hancock's visit to White Paper Flower, Lei Luo has already understood the reason. One Piece, the top 3 existences in 7 Warlords of the Sea, and the strength of Marine's Vice Admiral. The 9 snake pirates under its command have a unique sea combat mode, and if they are willing to put it into effect, Lei Luo is naturally willing to accept it. As for the other children's love, let's talk about it when I have time. Hancock smiled happily as if picking up a treasure, and even looked at Karina a little, provocatively. Karina just smiled slightly. I'm not here, you have to take care of him. An understatement made Hancock a little bit embarrassed, making her very vulgar. Rest assured, giving Karina an unnecessary promise, Boa Hancock jumped aboard the Hydra. Sisters, set off with Captain Lei Luo. Roar. The women's army of 9 Snake Island is not inferior to any fan team under Lei Luo's command. Karina unfolded a pitch-black cloak and gave it to Lei Luo with some effort. I designed and made it myself, and the 4 emperors will have the front of the 4 emperors. The black cloak is as straight as the suit on Lei Luo, and there are 2 silver epaulets embellished on the shoulders. Lei Luo couldn't help laughing. This girl copied the design of Martial Marine's cloak. But I have to say that the cloak designed by Karina has a lot of appearance. When Lei Luo put it on his body, the aura like a towering mountain all over his body suddenly became stronger, giving people a strong sense of visual oppression. It seems that just looking at it will make you suffocate. The knocking ghosts took a step back unconsciously. The aura of Lei Luo's boss was already strong and overwhelming, and the cloak designed by Karina Big Sister made people feel breathless at a glance. Lei Luo rubbed Karina's purple hair. When I'm not around, the white paper flower sea area will be handed over to you. Advertisement. Karina nodded obediently. You don't worry about fighting, I'm at home. Lei Luo reached out and patted Floy on the shoulder. You have worked so hard recently. Floy assured with full confidence. Don't worry, boss, you know my strength best. Lei Luo couldn't help laughing. Yes, he couldn't be more clear. In theory, at least in the white paper flower sea, no one is a match for Floy except him, an armed natural disaster, not even Bullet and Marco, opponent of Floy. Floy is not just a scientific worker, there is Karina on the bright side of the white paper flower sea, and Floy is sitting in the dark. He is very relieved. By the way, boss, I've done preliminary research on the map you gave me, and I've dabbled in every field. When you come back, guy, I'll probably get results. Floy said. Lei Luo knew that Floyd was referring to the Pedigree Factor Analysis Atlas. Okay. When I come back, I will serve you a drink to celebrate. After finishing speaking, Lei Luo stomped his feet and jumped directly onto the Calamity, followed by the 2 ghosts who knocked on the door. Little ones, let's go. Roar. The jet acceleration device was deployed, and the Calamity broke through the stormy sea, and went straight to the Sea of Nations where the BIGMOM pirates are located. 2 days later, Cake Island in the hinterland of the Sea of All Nations, in Cake Castle. The 3 generals headed by Katakuri are carefully serving Charlotte Linlin for afternoon tea and serving mother with snacks, which is the highest honor in the Charlotte family. It is also a manifestation of Charlotte and Linlin's trust and great importance to their children. In addition to the 3 generals headed by Katakuri, the butter minister Garrett was also present. This was the first time she served her mother with snacks. She is the 5th person to receive this honor after the main general. As for the 4th, of course, it is Charlotte Lola who ran away from home after destroying the marriage between the Charlotte family and the prince of the Titan family. Well, my lovely baby Garrett, are you ready to be a bride? Charlotte Linlin swallowed the dessert her daughter brought to her mouth, and made a happy sound. Follow your mother's instructions. Garrett knelt down on her knees, kneeling in front of Charlotte Linlin, with only respect on her face, and no other emotions could be seen. In front of her mother, everything must be cautious. Charlotte Linlin's palm, which was bigger than Garrett's face, stroked her wine-red long hair for a while. Good boy. As long as you tie Lei Luo, then mom will fulfill her promise and reward you with an additional island besides Butter Island. After the wedding, you will be the 4th general of BIGMOM pirates. Thank you, mom, for your kindness. Well, you go down first. Yes. After Garrett exited the door, Charlotte Linlin looked at her second son, Katakuri, and asked, is there no news from that stupid pig Puro? Brother Pei Ross hasn't sent any news yet. Katakuri stepped forward and reported. Cracker, one of the 3 generals, the biscuit minister stepped forward and said with a smile. Don't worry, mom, Lei Luo will definitely not refuse the invitation again. After all, he is just the new emperor who has just ascended the throne. This big gift from his mother is enough for him to see clearly the gap between him and you. Ever since Perot went to the white paper flower pirates to give gifts, Cracker's mentality has been inflated day by day, and in the eyes of him, and even the ministers of various countries, and the cadres of the BIGMOM pirates, he is the minister of biscuits. Cracker does have inflated capital. He and Garrett were born of the same father and mother, and their relationship is closer than other brothers and sisters. Once Garrett marries Lei Luo, his Cracker status will naturally increase. At that time, 4 Emperors BIGMOM Charlotte Linlin is his mother, 4 Emperors Armed Scourge Lei Luo is his brother-in-law, he himself is a general, and his sister Garrett is also a general. His status is so noble and his status is so prominent, even the second elder brother Katakuri, the Emperor's deputy, has to go around when he sees him. Charlotte Linlin smiled. It's true. It would be great if Lei Luo agreed, but if he refuses. Hey, don't even want a stupid son-in-law who can't see such a difference. Well, Charlotte Linlin smiled happily, under the service of the 3 generals. Continue to enjoy refreshments, without noticing the war breaking out on the edge of the Sea of Nations. On the edge of the Sea of Nations, Dudu Town on Creaky Island, managed by the Minister of Beans, Charlotte Dafu. Charlotte is sitting on the watchtower, tasting the imperial mochi that he wants to offer to his mother, and looking at the sea in the distance leisurely. This is his favorite thing to do in his spare time. What stops is the sea surface, what returns to calm is the heart. 0. Asking for flowers. Fierce. Against the wind, a warship with a grimace embossed on its bow rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Dafu jumped up from the chair and called the waiter beside him. Is there a delivery ship today? Why didn't I know? Master Daifuku, there are no delivery ships today, and no outgoing ships pass by here today. Not for delivery, not one of us. In just a few breaths, the ghost-faced boat had already approached the sea off Creek Island, and the flag flying on the boat was a white paper flower skull head. The white paper flower pirates. How did these guys appear here? Even if Lei Luo knew his mistake and agreed to the marriage invitation, he should enter the sea area under the leadership of Ross Perot. Advertisement. Dafu suddenly became nervous. The situation was wrong. There was a problem. At this time, behind the ghost ship, there are 3 pirate ships with different shapes. The pirate flag flying high reveals the identities of these pirate groups: the Big Whirlpool Spider, the Ice Witch, and the Ranger. All of them are the vassal forces of the original Whitebeard and now Whitebeard. Enemy attack. Charlotte Dafu suddenly realized, and immediately ordered the waiter beside him. Send the order, all members of Creek Island are assembled and ready to fight. Yes. Then, Charlotte jumped down from the watchtower, while rubbing her hands around her waist. The position 3 inches below her navel suddenly opened, and a burst of thick smoke rushed out quickly. Transformed into a lamp god wearing a turban and holding a big knife. The Jin is all black, apparently with Armament Haki attached. He is the magic lamp man who ate the fruit of the Paramesha lamp. As long as he rubs his body like Aladdin in legendary rubbing the magic lamp, he can awaken the smoke lamp god residing in his body. Listen to the ship in front. This is the territorial waters of 4 Emperors BIGMOM. Stop the ship immediately and accept inspection, otherwise we will implement forceful suppression. Boat ahead, listen. However, the galloping ghost-faced boat seemed to have not heard his call at all, and rushed over at a faster speed instead. Fire. The response to Charlotte's verbal warning was a thunderous command to fire. Next second. Boom. Boom. Boom boom boom. The cannon fire was raging all over the sky, the hot barrel spewed out tongues of fire, and the shells discharged from the barrel were like dense raindrops, bombarding the people and buildings on the creaking island. In just an instant, the ground on the creaking island shook, gunpowder smoke and dust billowed, large areas of buildings collapsed, the defense force that had just assembled was blown to pieces, and screams and cries for help rang out. The blood demon Dracula was originally the commander of the 12 groups, but now he has transformed into the commander of the 3 vassal regiments, and he blurted out instructions one after another. Attack. Release the assault boat. Exclamation mark quote. The Ice Witch pirates are advancing in a fan shape. Ranger pirates, advance from the left wing of the Ice Witch. The Great Eddy Spider pirates, advance from the right wing of the Ice Witch. With the cover of artillery fire, the pirates directly released smaller assault boats with faster charging speeds to break through the waves and prepare for landing operations. Don't stop the artillery fire. Throw the flag at me, hit me hard. The first wave of artillery fire will kill half of the defense force on the island. On the creaking island, accompanied by the intensive artillery fire, there was also a ghastly blue, tall and burly figure. The force fell from the sky, and the fist as big as the casserole smashed down. Clang. The sound of gold and iron fighting came, and the lamp god that Lot Dafu had just invited collapsed into a puff of smoke instantly, and he himself spurted out a mouthful of reverse blood as if he had been hit hard, and his whole body went straight. Fly out. Vulnerable. A muffled taunt sounded like thunder. Charlotte, who was blown away by the punch, came back to her senses, looked at the tall and burly blue figure, her eyes bulged out uncontrollably. Bah, bah. Bullet. Charlotte Dafu's eyes were full of horror. How did Bullet, the descendant of the devil, get together with the white paper flower pirates? Before Dafu could think of the answer, the casserole-sized fist magnified in his eyes at an extremely fast speed. It's me, your grandfather. The voice sounded, and Bullet's fists were heavily on Charlotte's body. Pound. The sound was like a hammer striking a bell. The armed fist that had been tempered to ultimate hit twice in a row, and Charlotte Dafu was completely broken and seriously injured, but Bullet didn't seem to intend to let him go just like that. The miserable blue right foot that covered ultimate armament Haki landed heavily on Charlotte's chest, and there was only a click, and the latter's chest was sunken deeply in an instant. Cough cough. Dafu coughed violently and spurted out blood. Hole. This is the territorial waters of 4 Emperors BIGMOM, you want to follow. It's you BIGMOM pirates who are fighting. Before Daifuku could finish his words, Bullet interrupted him. Bullet's mouth curved into a cold arc, and at the same time he kicked Daifuku hard on the back of the neck. In less than 10 seconds, Charlotte Linlin's third son, Charlotte Dafu, completely lost her fighting power in front of Bullet's ultimate armed color. Bullet leaned over and clasped Daifuku's neck. Under the latter's desperate struggle and terrified eyes, he took off his bag like a coconut. Behind him, the Blood Demon, the Twin Demon and the 3 vassal regiments were all killed. Bullet looked at the remaining defense force on the island and waved his hand. Your Majesty has an order to flatten the BIGMOM seas of all nations. No one will be left behind, no one will be spared. Kill. Amidst the screams of killing, the Creek Island managed by the Emperor's deputy Katakori's younger brother, the Minister of Do, Charlotte Tadeifu, quickly fell. 6. Advertisement. Chapter 117. Shocked by the world news, 13 sons of the ant were killed in a row. Please subscribe. Advertisement. In less than 10 minutes, the creaking island was littered with corpses and blood flowed like rivers. Everyone, board the boat. Go to the next island. Roar. The pirates responded after hearing the sound, and their morale was extremely high. They thought it would be a hard battle to fight the BIGMOM pirates, but they did not expect to break through an island so easily. The 3 adults of the 3 demons are at the front, and what these little soldiers do is at best clean up the battlefield. Ordering all of the pirates to retreat, the blood demon Dracula took a few steps forward with extraordinarily graceful steps, raised his hands to the sky, and the blood in his eyes surged, the blood on the ground and the blood in the corpse seemed to come alive, as if turning into little blood-red snakes, continuously flying into the air, condensing into a dark red blood eyeball. Roasting blood, poisonous blood rain. Dracula spread his hands, and the highly poisonous dark red blood cells burst out immediately, turning into a rain of blood and spraying all over the Creek Island. He is a blood bat man in the form of an ancient vampire giant bat who ate the zone bat fruit. He has the ability to control blood, not only his own blood, but also the blood of other people and animals. In addition to not being able to rejuvenate through blood sucking like the Red Earl who has a vampire form in Legendary, the potential brought by this devil fruit is comparable to that of the Red Earl in Legendary. It even made him immortal to a certain extent. Every time he smashed his body, his strength would plummet, but his own bones would also transform accordingly, opening the door to a higher realm. The rain of blood fell in just an instant, the buildings on the island were quickly rotted, the soil became dark at a speed visible to the naked eye, the trees and grass withered quickly, and the whole creaking island was shrouded in a bloody smell. Even if there are still ambushes and remnants on the island, they will perish quickly under the cover of this poisonous blood and poisonous gas. Seeing this scene, Bullet, who was used to killing people, couldn't help but feel his liver shudder, manipulating blood or something, it's too pervert. 380. The captains of the 3 vassal regiments, Whitebeard, Skuyid, and Doma, also looked at the blood demon Dracula with the eyes of a monster. Is this the hidden power of Captain Lei Luo in the White Paper Flower Chamber of Commerce? The person who can be entrusted with important tasks by Captain Lei Luo is indeed unbelievably strong. If this blood demon brother participates in the selection of the captain of the 16th Division of the White Paper Flower Pirates, the ranking of the top 5 captains will probably be refreshed directly. I thought that among the 3 demons, the mountain demon Bullet was the most powerful, but I didn't expect that the silent blood demon Dracula would be so terrifying when he suddenly exploded. The eyes of the 3 of them unconsciously fell on the tall figure wearing a cloak not far away. This twin demon who has never shown his face until now is probably extremely powerful. Dracula spread his wings and landed firmly on the bow of the ship. He clenched his fist slightly and was very satisfied with his current strength. His eyes flickered fiercely. Plague Quinn. If you didn't die at the hands of the boss, I will definitely repay you. Recalling the severe pain of the blood bomb tearing his body, Dracula is still afraid for a while now. If Quinn hadn't forced him to ultimate, he would never have the courage to endure the pain of being crushed to pieces, and he would not have such a strong body now. Strength. Let's go. Go to the next island. Blood demon Dracula ordered. In terms of strength, he is not as good as Bullet, but in terms of strategic and tactical command, 10 bullets are no match for him. Ice Witch Whitey Bay stepped forward. Brother Blood Demon, I have traded with the Ice Cream Island in the sea area of Wangguo before, and I know a little about Wangguo. If we continue to go deeper, we will enter the range of BIGMOM's soul perception. The homies soldiers on the island are all her eyes, and we will be exposed soon. The outer islands are too far away, so she can't perceive it. This is valuable information. Dracula nodded approvingly. They are the vanguard officers of the boss of Lei Luo, the so-called vanguard raiding force. The purpose of the mission is to reduce the enemy's combat power as much as possible before the official battle begins. The battle plan has been changed. Before the arrival of the follow-up troops, I will break through all the 17 islands in the outermost circle of the Sea of Nations. Yes. 2 hours later, the world's #1 intelligence center, the news agency. The President Morgans was flipping through the press release sent by his assistant, with a very bad face. Supernova Straw Hat Luffy and Supernova Captain Kid met in New World, and the 2 sides fought fiercely. The veteran singer of the Golden City, Feniel, died mysteriously. Marine Admiral Akainu reappeared strangely after disappearing from the world, suspected to be detained by the armed natural disaster Lei Luo during the Whitebeard extermination battle. What are these things? Is it something that can be published in a newspaper? And this. BIGMOM Pirates Pay Ross Perot once again went to the White Paper Flower Sea to send invitations to the armed natural disaster Lei Luo and reported so many times. Is the news that has lost its freshness still news? Morgan slammed the manuscript in his hand on the assistant's face heavily, and he couldn't get useless things, even a piece of valuable news. His eyes unconsciously fell on the newspaper framed on the wall, which reported the news that Kaido of the Beasts, who was enthroned and crowned emperor with 10 punches, would vomit blood. Hey, Lei Luo, the armed natural disaster that caused chaos in the past, has been too quiet recently. He is going to destroy the jobs of journalists. Blue blue blue. Just as Morgan sighed, the phone bug on the table suddenly called out. Advertisement. He impatiently picked up the phone bug. Speak. Immediately afterwards, his face suddenly changed into astonishment and surprise, but more of it was the unique surprise of journalists when they discovered good news. The army of the White Paper Flower Pirates broke into the surrounding waters of BIGMOM. Have you captured the 7 outer islands? Are you sure that the news is correct? Morgans couldn't believe it, and yelled out of composure. The new Emperor's armed natural disaster Lei Luo launched a frontal war against the veteran Four Emperors Bigmom Charlotte Linlin. What kind of international joke are you making? There will be small-scale frictions between the four emperors from time to time, but a real large-scale frontal collision is almost impossible. The reason is very simple. The frontal collision between the four emperors' regiments caused an uproar in the entire New World at the least, and reshuffled the major forces of the New World, and reshuffled the territorial waters of each. Moreover, once both parties suffer, it is easy for people with ulterior motives to take advantage of it. Therefore, among the four emperors' regiments, at most, they are each other's vassal regiments fighting each other, and there will never be a real large-scale frontal war. From the other end of the phone came a pat on the chest of the intelligence officer of the news agency. President, I guarantee my life. The vanguard of the armed natural disaster Lei Luo has captured the 7 islands of Bigmom, including the islands managed by the two brothers Charlotte Dafu and Charlotte Owen. And, the white paper flower has wiped out Bigmom, that one mother four emperors has lost 11 children. Hiss. Morgans unconsciously took a breath of cold air, as if his brain had been struck by lightning, and he was stunned for a long time before he came back to his senses. Charlotte Dafu and Charlotte Owen. Aren't those the two younger brothers of Queen's deputy Charlotte Tekatakuri? In the Imam Pirates, it can be regarded as a very powerful existence, one is Minister Bean, and the other is Minister Brown. If you kill them all, that means Katakuri's two younger brothers are dead. Morgans couldn't believe it, but his body moved honestly, took out a pen and paper and began to record. Then came the voice from the phone bug. White Paper Flower is led by Douglas Bullet, and the Blood Demon who died in Reese Rosa before, accompanied by the Great Eddie Spider, the Ice Witch and the Ranger 3 pirates. Bullet. Blood Demon killed by Plague Quinn. What the hell is going on? Morgans's mind was blank, and he didn't even realize that the pen in his hand had stopped unconsciously. There was only one thought left in his mind. Huge waves are about to break. New world, the sky is about to change. What else do you know? Finish in one breath. The recovered Morgans urged. There is one more news that has not been confirmed. The cause of this incident seems to be that Katakuri led people to attack Lei Luo's site, the Fishman Island, and killed his 132 employees and 4 royal families including the great sea knight Neptune, put the head in front of Lei Luo, and asked Lei Luo to marry Charlotte. Lei Luo killed Puro Ross, Puro, Monder, Baron Faint and Pokmus in a fit of rage. After the words fell, Morgans took a deep breath, his body in albatross form was trembling uncontrollably due to the too much explosive news he had just heard. I will send someone to investigate. Once verified, you will be promoted to be the editor-in-chief of the agency. But I also warn you, be strict with your mouth. If you leak information, you will die. Morgans hung up the phone bug, immediately picked up the pen and paper, and was slightly dazed for a few seconds. His excellent professional book made his brain work quickly, and he wrote quickly based on the limited information that could be exposed. A newspaper manuscript was formed at an extremely fast speed. The old 4 emperors and the newly promoted 4 emperors are fighting head-on, and the change of the old and new eras may be unstoppable. Armed natural disaster Lei Luo expands the territory, attacking the Bigmom pirates head-on. If the marriage fails, the two families turn against each other. Lei Luo angrily kills the envoy and marches into the seas of all nations. Headlines one after another kept coming out of the albatross Morgan's mind, and he selected a few photos from Lei Luo's enthronement ceremony before, decisively throwing the draft to his subordinates for typesetting, and the entire press release took up the entire newspaper, the whole A side. In order to avoid the trouble after the newspaper was released, Morgans cleverly copied a press release and sent it to the 5 elders among the powers through the CP World Intelligence Organization. A few minutes later, the world's highest authority between powers. Ha 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 ha. With a press release in hand, the old-fashioned 5 elders in black laughed loudly. I'll just say it. This armed natural disaster Lei Luo is too popular, and accidents will happen. Tisk tisk tisk. Even dare to provoke that crazy woman from Bigmom, this new emperor is very inflated. The bald man, who was cultivating feelings with his favorite knife, stopped suddenly, and raised his head suddenly. That armed natural disaster Lei Luo and Charlotte Linlin, that crazy woman, are doing it. The words are full of strong disbelief. New World 4 Emperors has never stopped small-scale frictions, and there are almost no large-scale battles. This is common sense. Because once there is a head-on confrontation, both sides will suffer, and it will not be beneficial to both parties, and it will only make it easier for people with ulterior motives. Lei Luo, the new emperor, even the red-haired Shanks is very optimistic about him. How could he do such a mindless thing? Advertisement. 5 elders in black throws the press release on the table. You'll see for yourself. If it's fake, I don't think that Morgan's guy would dare report it to us. The bald 5 elders in the dark green suit, the blonde 5 elders in the dark red suit, and the bearded 5 elders in the dark blue suit all gathered around the table, and their expressions changed drastically one after another. It's because of the marriage rejection. Blonde 5 elders is an incredible voice. But it makes sense when you think about it. Among them, Charlotte Linlin, that crazy woman has the grand ideal of giving birth to a country. Hey, I think it was Charlotte and Linlin, that crazy woman who wanted to subdue Lei Luo, but didn't dare to go directly into Lei Luo's territorial waters, so she chose the Fishman Island, which is far away. The balding 5 elders analyzed, and in one sentence, he revealed the motivation of the Bigmom pirates to choose the Fishman Island. But she didn't expect Lei Luo to be so violent. He directly killed his 2 sons and 2 generals, and then directly sent troops to attack her sea area of all nations. The long-bearded 5 elders in a dark blue suit stroked his beard, and the joy in his eyes was beyond words. Lei Luo and Charlotte and Linlin working together will only benefit the world's government, and it will be of great benefit. Whitebeard and red-haired Shank's vision is sometimes inaccurate. This Lei Luo's brain is not as powerful as imagined. Did you really think that Kaido would be able to compete with the old 4 emperors head-on? Oh, stupid. The blonde 5 elders had a look of contempt on their faces. They already knew the truth about Lei Luo's repelling of Kaido. It is obvious that they have always overestimated this Lei Luo. Exclamation mark. If he really joined forces with Charlotte Linlin, it would definitely cause great pain to the world government, and it is not impossible for the era of great pirates to enter its heyday. But this kid can't see the current situation clearly, he can't hold his breath. How many years has Charlotte and Linlin settled down, and how many years of power has she accumulated? What about Lei Luo? Young and energetic, the limelight is fierce, and it has not passed through the precipitation of time at all. Even if he inherits a lot of property from Whitebeard, there is only one result when he starts a war with Charlotte Linlin, that is the destruction of the White Paper Flower Pirates and the BIGMOM Pirates. Greatly hurt, the World Conqueror is reaping the benefits. The bald 5 elders said disdainfully. Hey, how much brains does a brat who even runs a chamber of commerce as a shopkeeper and relies on women? After a while, he said with emotion. After all, you are young and energetic. Without Whitebeard's protection, you will immediately reveal your true colors. But it is precisely because he is young and energetic that we lead him by the nose. 5 elders in black gave him a sideways look, picked up the press release on the table. Tear it. It's not in vain that we old people have spent so much thought. Whether it's a loss for both of them, or one of them being wiped out, it will be of great benefit to us. Tell Morgans, the press release should be rewritten, how to exaggerate and how to write, Lei Luo should praise, Charlotte and Linlin should be slammed. This news needs to be followed up continuously until the 2 sides separate. The long-bearded 5 elders in a dark blue suit immediately understood. The new emperor's mentality is inflated, and the old 4 emperors defend their majesty. Only when they are sent to the cusp of the storm, they will fight with their lives. The bald man silently put away his favorite knife, with a smile on his face. It seems that the old man's favorite knife has no chance to get out of its sheath. Win or lose, his position is still his. Since Lei Luo has gone to Wangguo Sea, let him stay there forever. On the New World side, send 3 admirals from Marine to the New World G5 branch, ready to attack at any time, and tell Akainu that this is his last chance. Send someone to keep an eye on the red-haired Shanks, and stop letting him meddle in his own business. Bald 5 elders rubs his chin, so let Morgans report this truthfully. That's right, it's about forcing them to the point where they won't be able to step down without killing each other. 2.2 inches. This Lei Luo is very inflated. He is just a new emperor, and he dares to fight the old 4 emperors Charlotte Linlin head on. He really helped us a lot. For this kind of thing, the power of words is far from enough. Black-clothed 5 elders had dark eyes, and continued. Also, tell Sengoku that his world conscription plan is approved. As long as we can find the right talent for Marine. The 5 elders in black tapped on the armrest of the seat. If you want to destroy it, you must first expand it. But that's fine, let them fight. Both sides will lose, and they will fight each other until only the last one is left. When the 4 emperors are no longer at their full strength, New World can draw with a backhand. Ha ha ha. Advertisement. Chapter 118. The Furious Lei Luo, the Sea of Nations Shrouded in Blood Mist. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Asked to exaggerate and rewrite the press release, Morgan scolded the 5 old people for disrespecting the truth of the news, and then threw off his arms and worked hard. No matter how ideal a journalist is, he needs to eat. Writing manuscripts, matching pictures, typesetting, sending them to 5 elders for review, and mass printing, the whole process was completed in just half a day. The news that Lei Luo, the 4 emperors, armed natural disaster, and 4 emperors, BIGMOM Charlotte Linlin, are fighting head-on also quickly spread to every corner of the sea. The ghost island of New World Wanokuni, built in a castle inside a huge skull. The smell of alcohol and the stench are constantly wafting out of Kaido of the Beasts' dormitory. Ever since being forcefully forced back by Lei Luo, Kaido of the Beasts has not been able to stay in the dormitory. He is accompanied by wine every day. Everything about the pirates, everything is thrown to Jin, the chief of the 3 disasters. Although the loss to Lei Luo was largely due to the fact that this punk beat more and less, because his strength was severely suppressed by those ghost eyes, but if you lose, you lose. Kaido of the Beasts is also a painful experience. Although he is accompanied by wine every day, his mind is extraordinarily clear, and he has never stopped deducing Lei Luo's moves and weapons. Ton. Another whole pot of wine was drunk, and in the next second, the pores all over the body suddenly expanded, and a thick and turbid mist gushed out, entering the body and not yet fully fused with the blood of the whole body. The alcohol quickly volatilized with the opening of the pores all over the body. The corner of Kaido's mouth curled up into a cruel smile. To crack Lei Luo's armed hot fist, timely heat dissipation is the key. As long as the heat can be prevented from gathering in the body, Lei Luo's armed hot fist is nothing to be afraid of. Lei Luo, next time we meet, you will die. Before the words fell, there was a sound of slightly hurried footsteps outside the bedroom. Jin, come in directly, Kaido said. Outside the door, Jin, who was about to reach out to knock on the door, hesitated for a second, pushed the door in, and respectfully delivered the newspaper to Kaido. Governor Kaido, this is the newspaper that the news agency is selling urgently, you might be interested. Kaido frowned. Urgent sale. The last time the news agency urgently sold newspapers was when One Piece Roger was captured and his execution was announced. Snatching the newspaper from Jin's hand, Kaido's expression froze for a moment, and then he laughed wildly. Ha 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 ha. Is Lei Luo and Linlin fighting head-on? Sure enough, he's nothing without Whitebeard's protection. The small conflicts between the four emperors' regiments never stop, and there are almost no major confrontations. Even if there is, it is a symbolic contest between the high-level officials, cadres, and captains of the 204 parties. Raising troops to attack such stupid things. Who did it? Who fool? A head-on war between the two will not only cause turmoil in the New World, but in the end, no matter which side wins, it will only take advantage of people with ulterior motives, and only a young boy like Lei Luo who has not passed through time can do this stupidity. He really doesn't have the qualifications of an emperor. Even if he is named emperor, he won't be able to sit firmly on the throne. The foundation created by Whitebeard in his lifetime may be destroyed by him. Guhahaha. However, if Lei Luo raises his troops to attack Charlotte Linlin, the defense force of his headquarters in the White Paper Flower Sea area must be unprecedentedly empty. A look of tyranny flashed in Kaido's eyes. It would be better to give him a favor than to wait until the two fight to the detriment of both sides to take advantage of others. Jin, when I'm not around, you have full authority to deal with the pirates' affairs. Yes. Boom. With an incomparably loud sound of dragon chant, purple thunder and red flames surged out, Kaido's figure skyrocketed, and in just a few breaths, he soared into the sky, turning into a dragon, returning to Lei Luo by Paper Flower Sea area, the flying layer of the site. At the same time, on the vast sea, the Redforth sails through the waves, and the red-hair pirates, who have just finished an adventure, are having a banquet. Some red-haired shanks, who were too drunk, sat looking at the latest bounty poster, and the portrait on it was Luffy, the straw hat kid with a big grin. Has it reached 400 million Pele? Luffy, it's too early for you to enter New World at this time. Shanks muttered to himself. Ben Beckman came over with a cigarette in one hand and a newspaper in the other. Shanks, I think you will be interested in this matter. What? The fierce battle between Luffy and Kid's gang has ended? Shanks asked, took the newspaper at the same time, opened it, and immediately frowned. Lei Luo is too reckless. Yes, Ben Beckman said affirmatively. Just as he was enthroned as the emperor, he went head-to-head with Bigmom, an old brand like four emperors that even we are afraid of 3 points. The foundation left by Whitebeard in his entire life is not enough for him to build. Then he said with a sigh, I thought Lei Luo was a smart person. Armed Scourge Lei Luo, the man who took over the entire Whitebeard pirates at the age of 24, his strength has even reached the frightening level of legendary, who can fight Garp and Sengoku, two marines at the same time. Strong. But what is really powerful is his aptitude and potential. If he can settle down for 10 years after becoming the emperor, continue to hone himself, accumulate food, and slowly become king, then 10 years later, he will be able to become the king in this sea. Be the real king. Such a pity. Still too young after all. Just as he was enthroned, he went to war with the veteran four emperors, which not only ruined the foundation created by Whitebeard in his life, but also ruined his own future. A dying genius is not a genius, and the rapidly rising star of the armed natural disaster Lei Luo may soon fall. Ben Beckman has a burst of regret. Shanks pondered for a while. Whether it is Lei Luo or Charlotte who wins in the end, they will completely break the balance of New World four emperors. This is not good news for us. Advertisement. The balance between the forces of the four emperors is extremely delicate, one more will not work, and one less will not work. The cake of the New World is that big, and none of the four emperors will allow the birth of the fifth emperor, but if the four emperors become the three emperors, what will happen to the rest of the territory? All alone. A large territory equals a large power, which equals a strong strength. Only One Piece is stronger than the four emperors. Whether it is Marine, World Jungfu, or the other four emperors, they will never stand by and watch the new generation of One Piece emerge. 3 equally. How to divide, how much to divide, and how much profit each occupies. The situation in each sea area is different, and the value of the output of each island is also different, so how can it be fair? Is it because of the destruction of one family that the other 3 families are going to re-enclose their territory and draw a map? This is obviously impossible. If the 3 fight for territory, they will most likely be defeated by Marine and World Jungfu one by one in the end. In the final analysis, the situation of New World 4 emperors must be maintained, and any Kakuzu must not collapse. Ben Beckman takes a deep breath. So, who are we helping this time? The red-haired Shanks said coldly, we don't help each other. Ben Beckman's eyes were fixed, and the tacit understanding over the years made him instantly understand the meaning of Shanks. Lei Luo and Aunt Charlotte are already fighting. Instead of persuading and leaving the conflict as a ticking time bomb, it is better to wait for them to break up. In the event of a victory or defeat, you will live and die, and the country will support a newcomer to ascend to the throne. Shanks nodded. Only Ben Beckman knows me. Anyone choose? Asked Ben Beckman. Shanks pointed to the 3 claw-like scars at the corners of his eyes, and Ben Beckman was shocked. Are you serious? Who left those 3 claw-like scars? He, the vice captain, couldn't be more clear than Ben Beckman suddenly realized that he couldn't understand the red-haired Shanks now. After the undead Kaido of the beasts and the red-haired Shanks, in the Sea of Nations, the desert trio of the Bigmom pirates also saw newspapers. Question mark. QG. Plus. Percent. Master Katakuri, this is the newspaper that the news agency is urgently selling today. In the Cake Castle on Cake Island, a homie soldier handed the newspaper to Katakuri who just came out of BIGMOM's bedroom. Emergency sale. Smoothie and Cracker on the side were stunned. Obviously they both knew what the words urgent sale meant. If it weren't for a big event that could change the world pattern in this sea, the news agency would never sell such a newspaper. The last time it was sold urgently was when One Piece Roger was executed. Katakuri spread out the newspaper. Cracker and Smoothie leaned forward at the same time. The faces of the three changed suddenly, and the eye-catching headline in red font was impressive. The new emperor's armed natural disaster Lei Luo and the old four emperors BIGMOM let's fight head on. And the content under the title made the faces of the three generals suddenly become extremely ugly. Open black lens bracket. Armed natural disaster Lei Luo angrily killed 4 core cadres of BIGMOM pirates, including 4 emperors BIGMOM's eldest son Charlotte Tepa Ross Puro, 19th son Junlot Mondor. Tens of thousands of troops marched straight to BIGMOM's Sea of Nations. The surprise attack force led by the newly promoted cadre of the White Paper Flower Pirates, Douglas Bullet, has captured the 7 islands in the Sea of Big MOM and killed several elite members of the BIGMOM pirates. Close black lens bracket. Including the 3rd son of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Dafu, the 4th son Charlotte Owen, the 15th daughter Charlotte Testrum, the 16th daughter Charlotte Tesnaman, and other 11 Charlotte family's direct members. Katakuri's expression turned violent, and the palm of his hand burst out with full explosive power, shaking the newspaper into shredded confetti. Although the credibility of the news agency's news has always been questionable, Morgans dared not offend 4 emperors at once no matter how much he swiped his pen, let alone using the emergency sale mechanism. So, this news is 80% true. And his 2 younger brothers, Daifuku and Owen. Katakuri's eyes were full of evil spirits, and the tyrannical evil spirit surged out uncontrollably. Damn it, such a big event, why no one came to report the news? What do those people on the outlying islands eat? Katakuri roared angrily. The most ridiculous thing is this, people have already hit the door of the house, the newspapers of the news agency have been sent out, and the beaten BIGMOM pirates have not even received the news of being invaded. I'm very sorry, Katakuri-sama. Please keep your voice down, mother's nap cannot be disturbed. The warning from the talking door in the bedroom behind him forced Katakuri to suppress the idea of reporting this matter to his mother immediately. Smoothie on the side gave Katakuri a hand. Katakuri big brother, what shall we do? News agencies don't make fun of this kind of news. If this news is true, then taking into account the time difference and information difference, the real battle situation in Fangguo Sea area may be even more tragic than the report. At this time, Smoothie was also full of evil spirits. The moment she saw the content of the newspaper, her heart suddenly clenched, and her molars gritted. The 15th daughter Charlotte Testran and the 16th daughter Charlotte Tesnaman in the newspaper are both her sisters. The accident of the 2 younger sisters shows that the Egg Yolk Island managed by Strawn has also been captured in the outer circle of the outer 10,000 seas. The outer circle of the Sea of Nations is the easiest to reach. Outsiders are the first line of defense in the sea area of all nations, so they are usually guarded by powerful ministers. Strawn, who guards the Egg Yolk Island, is not weak at all, and Daifuku, who guards the Creaky Island, and Owen, who guards the Baked Snack Island, are even more powerful. The enemy can capture these 3 at such a fast speed. Counting the time difference and poor information delivered by the newspapers, the real battle situation in the sea area of 10,000 nations at this time is by no means as simple as the capture of the 7 islands. Maybe more. More brothers and sisters died. Advertisement. Yeah, if you can't disturb mom, you can only make up your mind, second brother. Cracker, who came back to his senses, echoed. Compared to Smoothie and Katakuri, Cracker, who was still dreaming of, my brother-in-law is the 4 emperors, a few minutes ago, has a look of astonishment on his face. The inflection point came too fast, and everything. It's all so unreal and unbelievable. Katakuri took a deep breath, his tall and burly body trembling violently. Cracker, immediately contact the person in charge of the 34 islands, make sure to find out the current battle situation, and the location of those people with white paper flowers. Also, find out for me why such a big incident happened, why no one reported it, why didn't Katsuyu, the territory of the 10,000 nations sea area, warn the police? Yes, Cracker agreed, and went to work vigorously. Katakuri looked at Smoothie again. You go to assemble the revenge army. Once you find out where the white paper flowers are, attack immediately and kill them at all costs. The revenge army is the tradition of the Charlotte family. The troops are members of the BIGMOM pirate group, fighting homies, and the leaders are the children of the Charlotte family. Once by. If the dignity of the GMOM pirates and the Charlotte family is provoked, or their personnel are damaged, tens of thousands of crusade troops will be dispatched in an instant, regardless of the cost, until you kill the opponent, you will never die. Looking at the entire Charlotte family, apart from Charlotte Linlin, only Katakuri is qualified to order the revenge army to gather. Strong hatred throbbed in Smoothie's eyes. Her 2 younger sisters, the only 2 people in the cold Charlotte family who could be trusted unconditionally, died. Understood. Immortal. Suddenly, an intermittent, hoarse, old voice came. Katakuri big brother. Katakuri raised his head abruptly, and a figure covered in blood crawled out of the mirror not far away. She is the 8th daughter of the Charlotte family, Paramesha, who has the mirror fruit ability. Charlotte to breathe like an old hag. Bree, seeing his younger sister Katakuri who was covered in blood and seriously injured, the anger surged in his heart. The only thing he couldn't bear was that his family members were bullied and his brothers and sisters were wronged. Exclamation mark. Hurriedly walked over. What's going on, Bree, who hurt you like this? Charlotte to Bree was extremely weak, as if she was about to die in the next second, she tightly clutched Katakuao's trouser legs. The white paper flower invasion. The large army has arrived. Tens of thousands of people invaded from all directions. The leader is Fire Fist and Phoenix. They interfered with the warning of Katsuyu in the territorial sea. Bullet and two guys he didn't know were. Come here. Bree's eyes showed a bit of reluctance. Why doesn't mom support us? Homies has clearly sent her a message. Katakuri's heart was throbbing. When his mother was sleeping, Homies' perception range would be compressed to only the Cake Island area. He knew this, but the other siblings don't know. In their eyes, mother is omnipotent. Big brother, if you can't stop Lei Luo in the future, you must go first. In the future, you will be the emperor. Lei Luo is too strong. Katakuri was taken aback by Bu Lei's sudden words, and the next second, Bu Lei's lifeless body suddenly fell down, and only the upper half of the body that fell out of the mirror was left. Bree. Katakuri was stunned as if struck by lightning, as if he was choking on his chest, the muscles on his face twitched violently. Nothing is worse than watching his sister suffer. Die in front of yourself is even more heartbreaking. What does Bree mean? Could it be that Lei Luo personally touched him? At the beginning, he beheaded 136 heads of Lei Luo by paper flower chamber of commerce, and Lei Luo broke into the sea of 10,000 kingdoms with the force of Lei Luo. What a great temper. Bu Lei's cute voice and smile when she was young kept reappearing in front of her eyes. He clearly swore that he would spend his whole life protecting his home and family. In an instant, the heart-wrenching grief rushed into Katakuri's brain, causing him, who had always been calm, to be temporarily swayed by his emotions. For a moment, a rare trace of regret rose in his heart. If he hadn't provoked Lei Luo, a lunatic, and hadn't brought someone to challenge Lei Luo's the Fishman Island, what would have happened today? All this or root will happen. But in the next moment, this trace of remorse was instantly annihilated by the overwhelming hatred. The family is oppressed. Only blood washes away. He swore that anyone who hurt his family would be repaid 100,000 times. The veins on his forehead popped instantly, Katakuri's eyes were about to burst, and Conqueror's, mixed with a vicious aura, centered on himself and spread uncontrollably. White paper flower. Lei Luo. Today's enmity will never die. The sky-shattering roar shook the entire Cake Castle. Advertisement. Chapter 119. The death of the two generals, the shock of attacking Cake Island in 3 days. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Bree, Cracker, who was holding a box in his hand, went back and forth, and saw Charlotte Tebre, who was lying in a pool of blood with only half of her body left, and was thrown to the wall by Katakuri's tyrannical breath in an instant. Superior. Bree she, dead, it's over. Katakuri's second brother is going to be angry. Bree is not a minister, and her status in Charlotte's family is not high, and because of her old witch-like appearance, she is not very popular with her brothers and sisters, but there is no doubt that she is Katakuri's second brother's favorite dear sister. Back then, Bu Lei was bullied and disfigured, and the second brother Katakuri, who was just a boy, single-handedly overthrew the gangs in the whole town. What did you find out? Katakuri restrained his whole body, his voice became extremely low, and his voice fell into his ears, making people feel extremely depressed. Goo. Cracker swallowed unconsciously. I have already contacted the persons in charge of the 34 islands, and all the 17 islands in the outer circle have not heard back, and half of the islands in the inner circle have been captured, check it out. Cracker brought the box in his hand to Katakuri. This box was taken from the Charlotte family ancestral hall, and each immediate member of the Charlotte family has stored a life card here. The box was opened, and inside were life cards that were burning one after another, and more than 1/3 of the life cards had been completely reduced to ashes. The life card burned smaller, indicating that the original owner of the life card is in danger of life, and the life card is completely reduced to ashes, which also means the demise of the original owner of the life card. Katakuri's mind froze for a moment, and he lost his ability to think briefly as if struck by lightning. It is hard to imagine that so many brothers and sisters have suffered in such a short period of time. Katakuri's face was so gloomy that water dripped out, and the low-pressure voice sounded slowly, don't worry about the 17 outer islands. Let the revenge army disperse to the inner islands, and those who meet white paper flowers all shoot to kill. Not one left. I lead the team myself. You and Smoothie stay at Cake Island. Yes. Cracker agreed, and hurriedly left here to contact Smoothie. It was too uncomfortable and depressing to stay beside the furious second brother Katakuri. After collecting Bu Lei's body, Katakuri went straight to the coastal pier of Cake Island. The assembled revenge army has all boarded and firepower ready. The dark and deep Armament Haki on Katakuri's body surged out, jumped directly to the sea surface, and walked towards the inner circle island in the sea of 10,000 nations at an extremely fast speed. Family members are oppressed, only blood washes away. However, as the second son of the Charlotte family and the mate of the BIGMOM pirates, Katakuri still maintains a calm and rational mind even in the midst of rage. According to the information provided by Bree before his death, the surprise attack force led by Bullet is coming to Cake Island. There is a mother on Cake Island, and 10 bullets can't make waves. Then bypass Bullet, Marco and others, and go slaughter the second echelon of the white paper flower pirates. Let their bones pile up and their blood flow like a river. Everyone, let's go. Revenge. Katakuri, the general star, will be killed, and everyone who gets the white paper flower will be killed, and no one will be left behind. Seeing that Katakuri has already rushed to the inner islands, Cracker and Smoothie also sent orders to go. Kill, kill, kill. The sound of shouting and killing shook the heavens and the earth, and the revenge army broke through the waves to attack. At the same time, the edge of the Sea of Nations. A huge pitch-black ship is coming through the waves at an extremely fast speed, followed by 3 smaller accompanying ships in 2 circles. This big ship is extremely strange, the whole body is pitch black, with no variegated colors to be seen. There are 2 pitch-black Shinigami reliefs on the bow, and a black relief of Prajna ghost face on the stern. The large sails and flags on the mast are all black and stiff, as if what hang on the pitch-black mast are not big sails and flags, but a few huge pitch-black steel plates. Captain Lei Luo, Wanbaohai is ahead. We have investigated the situation, and there is no living creature on the island, and the smell of blood is extremely strong. Brayman K., the captain of the 6th team, came to the deck to report to Lei Luo. Sitting on the throne on the deck, Lei Luo slowly opened his eyes, and an extremely powerful and domineering terrifying aura spread instantly. Boom. There was a muffled sound, and it was only for a moment. Brayman, the captain of the 6th team, fell to his knees on the deck uncontrollably, his eyes full of horror and awe. Too tyrannical. But after sitting quietly on the plywood for more than 2 days, Captain Lei Luo's aura has increased several times compared to a few days ago, it is growing geometrically. Moreover, Brayman may clearly feel that Captain Lei Luo's aura was leaked unintentionally, not aimed at him, but that's the case, the leaked aura also made him kneel down involuntarily. Even when I was in the Whitebeard pirates, I never felt such a domineering aura around my father with the invincible conquerors. Undoubtedly, Captain Lei Luo's strength has surpassed that of Papa. It was also at the moment of opening the eyes that the dark and deep colors on the calamity slowly receded. The ecstasy Shinigami on the bow and the Prajna ghost face at the stern all returned to their original colors. On the mast, the black painted sails and white paper flower skulls faded away. The pirate flag was also fluttering in the wind again. Quote. Brayman was dumbfounded. He swallowed unconsciously. Lei Luo tempered his own armor in this way. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. But even seeing it with my own eyes, I still feel that it is very unreal, and I am extremely surprised and stunned. Everyone knows that when Armament Haki is strong to a certain level, it can be attached to a weapon to increase its power and durability. The sword tempered by Armament Haki for a long time will gradually become the Black Sword in Legendary, and its quality will be greatly improved. This is how the Black Sword of Dracula Mahawk, the world's #1 swordsman, is tempered. Advertisement. But, who has ever heard of tempering half of a boat as a sword? Who can do this level of armed color coverage? Armament Haki is so precious, even some captains can't cover their whole body, but Captain Lei Luo is really scary. Even now, next to Lei Luo still stands a small dark room as solid as an iron mountain. Not even the legendary Garp the Fist with Marine alive could do such an outrageous thing. Captain Lei Luo's armed color may have surpassed Garp the Fist, and reached an unimaginable, unprecedented and terrifying height. Brayman thought very firmly. Lei Luo opened the system interface, added the 3 attribute points brought by quasi-pure gold to the progress bar of Armament Haki, and the progress bar of Armament Haki on the system interface also changed to 253 10,000ths. Wearing quasi-pure gold, you can get 1 attribute point every day. Lei Luo stretched out his right hand, spread his palm, and a miniature armed tornado swept up in his palm instantly. If you look closely, you will find that there are thousands of small tornadoes hidden in this miniature armed tornado. The armed wind blade and the rapidly rotating armed tornado distorted the surrounding air violently. How was the battle going during my training? While playing with the miniature armed tornado, Lei Luo asked. Brayman looked at the black tornado storm in the palm of Lei Luo, his pupils shrank sharply, and he bowed slightly after a short pause. The 3 demon brothers headed by Bullet have already marched to Cake Island, and before that, they have cleared the waters of 10,000 nations 17 islands in the outer ring. The troops led by Ace, Marco and others arrived half a day earlier than us, and they are attacking the inner islands in the Sea of Nations. They have captured more than half of the islands, and news of success keeps coming. Brothers suffered a little casualties. The 60,000 army lost almost 1/10 of it, but the captains had no casualties, and their morale was high. They said they would go all out to attack the Cake Island doctor. Lei Luo frowned slightly. The 3 demons actually went to Aunt Charlotte's hinterland Cake Island. Idiot. Their strength is comparable to that of the 3 generals. Once they are entangled and encounter Charlotte, the situation may not be optimistic. Full speed ahead, straight to Cake Island. Destroyed Charlotte's lair. Yes, on Cake Island, seeing hundreds of warships sailing away quickly, Smoothie and Cracker exchanged glances and were about to return to their posts. Fierce. Boom. The surface of the sea exploded, a miserable figure of blue jumped out of the water, and the coating bubble burst instantly. Bullet, Smoothie and Cracker were stunned at the same time. Although they had never met each other, Bullet's unique upgraded blue armament Haki was so recognizable. Your Majesty has an order to flatten the BIGMOMCs of all nations. No one will be left behind, no one will be spared. Responding to the 2 generals was Bullet's tyrannical shouting and the casserole-sized fist that blatantly smashed down. Boom. Cracker reacted extremely quickly, advancing instead of retreating, and blocked Smoothie in an instant. Smoothie took the opportunity to jump back. In the next second, the puppet soldiers made of biscuits shattered, a streak of purple Roland hair, and a half-topped figure flew out instantly. Cracker usually hides among the puppet soldiers. The rewards issued by the World Jungfu are only the image of his puppet soldier, and this is his real body. The corner of Cracker's mouth was bloodshot after being punched by Bullet, and his eyes were filled with horror. His puppet soldiers are made of biscuits created with the ability of devil fruit. Although they are biscuits, they have a hardness higher than steel. After adding the extremely powerful Armament Haki, the hardness is even higher than steel. He would be smashed to pieces by Bullet, the remnant of the old era. This is what he never expected. As this the Bullet's fist with the upgraded Armament Haki. Hey, it's really strong. After a short period of astonishment and shock, Cracker's eyes surged with fighting intent. However, you are so brave to break into Cake Island by yourself. Papa Papa. The voice sounded, and Cracker clapped his hands continuously, and countless biscuits of different shapes appeared out of thin air, spliced and fused with each other, and in just a few breaths, hundreds of biscuits appeared on the coastal pier soldiers, and the number is still increasing. Cracker laughed wildly and exaggeratedly. Want to take advantage of the emptiness of the defense on Cake Island to sneak attack. Not a bad idea. But who do you think you're up against? Standing in front of you is Charlotte Cracker, the 3-star dessert general. Lousy alone can hold an army of 10,000 people. It's not at the same level as the cookie crumbs you dealt with before. Bullet's expression froze. Noisy. Miserably, Blue's armed fist swung out brazenly, just a straight punch. Boom. The air exploded, the sound of punches was like thunder, and it even set off a powerful force that pierced through the air, instantly smashing all the large biscuit soldiers made by Cracker, and the biscuit crumbs spread everywhere with the strong force. In the next second, a scene that was beyond Bullet's expectation appeared. Cracker clapped his hands non-stop, and the biscuit crumbs all over the sky were reassembled into biscuits at an extremely fast speed, and combined into biscuit soldiers. With Crackers new made by cookie soldiers, just a few breaths. In a short amount of time, the number of biscuit soldiers has more than doubled. Cracker clapped his hands and laughed wildly at the same time. I can make infinite cookies. How many cookies soldiers like this can you fight? 500, 1,000, or 10,000. Ha 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 ha. Smoothie, who was about to make a move, put away his saber casually. Cracker is best at dealing with reckless people with brute force, especially Bullet, who has a long brain. Muscular guy. Judging from the current situation, there is no need for her to act. This Bullet's Armament Haki is certainly very strong, but so what? Using Armament Haki will consume a lot of physical energy, and fighting Cracker for consumption is pure courting death. Advertisement. There was a sneer on the corner of Bullet's mouth. It's all fancy. Just for a moment, Blue's Conqueror's Haki surged out, the cold, tyrannical, and murderous breath crushed towards Cracker in an instant, and he was still laughing exaggeratedly in the last second. The Cracker didn't have time to react, and was overwhelmed by the Conqueror's Haki that swept in like a tsunami without any suspense. Immediately afterwards, Bullet burst into stature, rushed in front of Cracker in the blink of an eye, and smashed down the pitiful blue fist the size of a casserole. Seeing that the situation was not good, Smoothie immediately drew his sword and slashed at Bullet. Backquote, clang. There was the sound of gold and iron clashing, the sword didn't reach Bullet at all, and was covered by a burst of blood from the sky. 200cc poison blood arrow. The voice sounded, and Smoothie came back to her senses. At some time, a figure with white hair and luxurious European-style medieval clothing had already stood 10 meters away from her. There was no trace of blood on the sickly white face, and there was blood oozing faintly on the middle finger of the raised right hand, and a pair of bat-like flesh wings were slowly retracting behind, just following Bullet. Here comes Blood Demon Dracula. This guy, when? Smoothie looked astonished, seeing that Haki, who was second only to second brother Katakuri, was silently wrapped around her. Pound. Almost at the same time, there was a sound like a hammer hitting a bell, and Cracker, who was wrapped in black Armament Haki, was punched by Bullet and flew to Smoothie's side. There is a particularly dazzling fist mark on it. PFF'd. Cookie soldiers, serve me. Cracker spat out a mouthful of blood, and at the same time ordered hundreds of cookie soldiers to rush up to stop Bullet and buy him time. But at this time, a reddish-brown flame burst out from behind Bullet. This flame was like the fire of Hades flowing in Legendary, turning into a raging wave of flames and sweeping towards him. Wherever it passes, whether it is biscuits, the ground, or vegetation, they are all burned and carbonized in an instant. Biscuits, it tastes better when baked. It's burnt. Hodman wearing a cloak slowly came out from behind Bullet. It was a very immature face with black hair, except for a wisp of white floating in front of his forehead, and white was drawn under his eyes. Eyeliner. Mind your own business, Bullet said a little annoyed. Poof, poof. In the next second, the sound of the sharp blade piercing into the flesh sounded one after another, and Smoothie and Cracker were stabbed from behind almost simultaneously. The two of them turned around in pain and found out in horror. There is another person behind. This person is only wearing a pair of trousers, with half of his upper body exposed. He also has a very immature face, with white hair all over his head, except for a smear of black on his forehead, and black eyeliner under his eyes. 99% similar to Hodman in the cloak, it is his big brother Huff. Huff looked at Bullet, and the vicissitudes of life that didn't match his immature appearance sounded. Who wants to meddle in your good Jiao business? We just follow the instructions of Boss Lei Luo and use the most. Kill the enemy with the fastest speed and the highest efficiency. Right, Dracula? That's right. The blood demon Dracula snapped his fingers, and the blood color on the faces of Cracker and Smoothie faded visibly to the naked eye, and they became pale. In just one breath, the two turned into two shriveled corpses. It's very dangerous to show the wound in front of me, both of you. Okay. The blood demon Dracula said confidently, the ability to control blood is no joke. The soul mantra that took lifespan suddenly resounded throughout the world. A life card the size of a thumb. A vague human face emerged from the burning purple fire. Dare to kill my children. When Hoff came to his younger brother Hodman, a strange scene appeared. Hoff's body merged into Hodman's body at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, Song was left with 10 bodies and 2 brothers Hoffman, 1 body, 2 voices. Life is still snacks. People. Bullet stroked his fist. Charlotte and Linlin's 3 generals are nothing more than that. Since there is nothing to fight, then we can only trouble her. Then hurry up and kill Mother Charlotte before boss Lei Luo arrives. As long as you can break through Mother Charlotte's defense, even if there is only 1 bloody wound, I can kill him instantly. Hodman, both of them have their own brains and independent thinking ability, but they can sense each other's thoughts, and they have an incomparable understanding, the so-called twin demons, even so. Suddenly, there was a slight explosion sound, and 2 purple flames ignited on the bodies of Smoothie and Cracker who turned into mummified corpses. If you look closely, you will find that they are 2. Bad head. The spine is down, and the 2 brothers share the organs. After eating the fruit of the zone phantom beast, the hell 2-headed wolf, they have the ability to separate the body for a short time, and each has its own hands and feet. Boom. Agree. The 2 brothers are naturally heterogeneous, not only twins but also conjoined. The 2 spines support the upper body of the 2 respectively. The left half of the body belongs to Big Brother Huff, and the right half belongs to the younger brother. Because the appearance of the twins is too strange and weird, the Hoffman brothers are used to wearing cloaks in order not to attract attention. But this ability can't last for too long. Advertisement. Chapter 120. Hunting time. Aunt Charlotte is in a dead end. Please subscribe. Advertisement. At the same moment, the Sea of All Nations, the Jam Island near the Cake Island. Fire punch. Fire Fist Ace blatantly punched out the Fire Fist, and the 24th son of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Duckworth, the Minister of Jam, flew upside down in an instant. The dark blue suit on her body was instantly burned, and the purple demon wings on her back followed reduced to ashes. Cough. Charlotte Duckworth coughed up a mouthful of scorching blood. Her face was pale. Under the broken goggles there was a look full of resentment. Damn white paper flowers. Cough cough. Mom will never let you go. Looking at the 3 captains of the white paper flower pirates who were slowly swarming over, Marco the Phoenix, the captain of the 1st squad, Ace the Fire Fist, the captain of the 2nd squad, and Diamond Jazzy, the captain of the 3rd squad. Ruthless character. Charlotte Duckworth also expected that he would die today and continue to live. A flash of determination flashed in his eyes, but more of it was the fiery and crazy faith. He took out his handgun and put it against his chin. Long live the great kingdom of Toto Land, and the Charlotte family is immortal. Brazenly pulled the trigger. Sudden. Musket. However, Ace's reaction was much faster than Charlotte Duckworth's, who wanted to kill himself. He shot a flaming bullet with his fingertips, piercing the center of Charlotte Duckworth's eyebrows in an instant, and in the next instant, Seastone the bullet just went through his jaw. Charlotte Duckworth stared blankly, but she didn't expect to die in the hands of the white paper flowers in the end. There was an icy coldness in Ace's eyes. My Emperor Lei Luo ordered to kill without pardon. You who have committed a heinous crime against Bai Zihua are not qualified to kill yourself. Diamond Chao's patted Ace on the shoulder. Let's go. Further ahead is Cake Island. The 3 demons have already passed, and we will help. Completely wipe out these bastards. Originally, the 10 captains each led a team to attack the remaining islands in the 10,000 Kingdoms Sea, but the closer they got to Cake Island, the fewer islands around them. When they came to this Jam Island, they immediately became them. The 3 captains joined forces. 3 top captains against a Charlotte Duckworth who is as strong as Marine Vice Admiral is not as easy as looking at the pattern with the palm of the hand. Take down the entire Jam Island in the blink of an eye. The 3 of them brought their teams to the coastal pier and were about to board the boat to Cake Island. Marco and Ace stared fiercely, raised their heads at the same time, and saw 3 tall and burly figures walking forward on the waves, jumping quickly on the sea, approaching here at an extremely fast speed. That guy, just like Captain Lei Luo, he can jump on the sea. Ace muttered in disbelief. It's hard to imagine that besides Captain Lei Luo, there is anyone else who can do such an outrageous thing. It's broken. It's Katakuri. Marco came back to his senses suddenly, and greeted the pirates behind him. Everyone get on the boat and leave this island immediately. This guy is not something you can deal with. With an order, all the pirates acted immediately, and Marco greeted Ace and Jazzy. Ace. Josie. Let's go together. Be sure to drag him to death here, and never let him rush into the crowd. Is Marco afraid of Katakuri? Of course not. Even if he faced Katakuri alone, he dare not say that he will win, but he will never lose. But Katakuri's haki is extremely powerful, and the glutinous fruit he eats can easily use super wide range damage skills. Look at this guy's menace. Once he rushes into the crowd and starts killing, it is not an exaggeration to kill 100 people in an instant. Troops are extremely precious resources for any pirate group, and they must not be sacrificed needlessly. Cut and cut rice cakes. In the next second, Katakuri, who has not arrived at Jam Island, has a layer of lacquer black armament haki all over his body, and his arms instantly turn into rice cakes and continue to swell. In just a few breaths, it swelled to the size of half a jam island, countless spikes emerged, and the dark-armed rice cake instantly transformed into a mace-like shape, spinning at high speed like a meteor hammer. Just throw it over. The pirates on the island were quite frightened. When pirates come and go in fire and in water, they have seen guns and guns, but they have never seen such a terrorist attack that easily covers half of the island. Ace! Marco shouted loudly. Give it to me. Blazing flames gushed out from Ace's body, and he stomped his feet. The spiraling flame ripples of the incandescent flames spread out under his feet, and a huge great fireball, as dazzling as the sun, quickly condensed into his palm, and directly smashed into the air. Falling chopped rice cakes. Great flame ring, Emperor Bian. However, Katakuri seems to have seen through the future long ago, and it is expected that Ace will make such a trick. Advertisement. Willow cake. Use the glutinous fruit ability to split the legs into several legs. In the blink of an eye, dozens of glutinous rice legs are fired like shells, and the dark and deep Armament Haki jumps on top of it. Boom. Bang. Click. In just a moment, more than a dozen ships of the white paper flower pirates on the pier were smashed, and the pirates who had boarded the ship fell into the water and fled in embarrassment. Katakuri's voice, like a wounded beast about to fight for his life, resounded earth-shatteringly. Blood for blood, blood for blood. Use your blood to wash away today's enmity. When Katakuri got closer, Marco suddenly discovered that there were two heads hanging from the waist of this damned animal. It was Lakyo, the captain of the 7th Division, and Jingudo, the captain of the 11th Division. Have two brothers been poisoned already? Katakuri showed his long spear in his hand. Marco, the next one is you. While Katakuri, Marco and others were fighting for their lives, the Cake Island on the other side. Life or dim sum. As the life-stealing soul mantra resounded, a burst of extremely powerful Conqueror's Haki spread violently, and the Conquerors concretized into a glowing purple light, constantly sweeping and attacking. The three demons suddenly felt a chill behind their backs, as if there was an ice cold the snake that can launch a fatal blow climbed up the back and chilled into the bone marrow, as if the innate fear in the DNA was being awakened. Bullet bit the tip of his tongue fiercely to wake up, and Blue Conqueror's Haki surged out, instantly forming a protective shield around him, blocking Bigmom's aura. Damn, is the soul fruit of this crazy old woman so strong? Bullet slandered, exhaled and yelled loudly at the demon Dracula and the twin sister Hove who were behind him. Be sober, as long as you are not afraid of Bigmqm, you won't lose your lifespan by her. Brothers Dracula and Hoffman's eyes were so confused that they couldn't see even a trace of divine light. Bullet kept releasing Conqueror's Haki, and shouted loudly at the same time. B*****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************"You be afraid of the mere 4 emperor's ant." The voice boomed, and the bodies of Dracula and Hoffman brothers trembled at the same time, and they woke up instantly, and the confused look in their eyes was completely replaced by fearless eyes. Thanks Bullet, I almost fell for this old woman's advice. You are right, we are all subordinates of my Emperor Lei Luo, how can a mere Aunt Charlotte be shaken? Dracula, who regained his sanity, faced the blurred face without fear. The same is true for the Hoffman brothers, with vicissitudes and immature voices sounding at the same time. Stop pretending to be a ghost, Aunt Charlotte, my Emperor Lei Luo said, raise the seas of all nations, and all members of the Bigmom pirates will be killed without mercy. Quote. Seeing this, a momentary astonishment flashed across the blurred face. Is there really someone who is not afraid of the power of her soul fruit? Life or dim sum. The soul mantra sounded again, and the domineering aura suddenly increased, and the surrounding stones and trees were swept up. However, the fearless 3 demons are not intimidated by the soul mantra at all. The life cards on the 2 corpses seemed to have burned to the end, and the fuzzy faces manifested with the help of the life cards disappeared. But the 3 demons didn't have time to breathe a sigh of relief. Boom. The thunderclouds rolled over the distant Cake Island, and the sky darkened suddenly. Under the thunderclouds that covered the sky, the trembling purple thunder and lightning AEAI kept rolling. Wearing a pink nightdress, with long sakura-colored hair, a huge figure with a height of nearly 9 meters stands on the thundercloud. Nearly 9 meters tall and at least 6 meters wide, it seems to be a mountain standing above the thunderclouds. Just standing there, the invisible oppressive aura will spread out, giving people a strong sense of oppression in the heart. It is Bigmom Charlotte Linlin, one of the 4 emperors. Bullet, you have big dog eyes. How dare you kill my mother's children? The Conqueror's Haki manifested in purple light rushed out following Charlotte Linlin's shout, and rushed straight to Bullet, the leader of the 3 monsters. Although to her, children are tools to maintain status and expand power, but she will also feel heartbroken if a good tool is damaged. What have you done yourself? You know it in your heart. Bullet yelled loudly, and Conqueror's Haki, who was manifested into a miserable blue mask, pushed back without any hesitation. Under the order of His Majesty Lei Luo, crush your Bigmom pirate group, and crush your seas of all nations, not to mention your 2 dogs, even you, a crazy woman, will die. I haven't seen you for so many years. My mouth still smells so bad. Advertisement. Aunt Charlotte took off the bicorn hat on her head and Napoleon held it in her hand. A strange scene appeared. A long knife extended out of the bicorn hat. It turned into a hideous and terrifying giant knife, on which the pitch-black Armament Haki jumped. I just don't know how much your skills have deteriorated after being imprisoned in the deep-sea prison for so many years. Try this. Gun of Al Buff. Weo. The giant sword Napoleon slashed fiercely, and a huge sword energy was slashed forward, and there was a sharp sound of breaking wind suddenly, as if the atmosphere was trembling for it. Get out of the way. Facing the blow that cut the sky, Bullet didn't dare to be careless at all. Shouting Dracula and Hoffman brothers away, Bullet bursts of azure light gushed out from his body. The light was like worms, falling on the ground and wriggling quickly. The sand and soil on the ground gathered quickly, become a vicious monster 10 meters tall and tall. Multiple form hyphenation point gravekeeper beast. Clang. As soon as the merging transformation was completed, the spear of Al Buff cut out by Aunt Charlotte was in front of her eyes, and with the sound of clang, sound of gold and iron clashing. Boom. The tomb-suppressing beast that had just completed its combined incarnation was cut off from the left half of its body, and fell down after washing with sand, stones and soil. Bullet was stunned and astonished. He never imagined that during the years he was imprisoned in the impel-down deep-sea prison, his former 50-50 opponent would grow to such a terrifying level. But this is still within his expectations. Although the strategic and tactical mind is not as good as that of the blood monster Dracula, Bullet is not an idiot who recklessly challenged the four emperors on the spur of the moment. Well, Aunt Charlotte's crazy laughter came. I thought Lei Luo took such a big deal and got you to join. Now it looks like someone pitied you and accepted you as his subordinate, right? Bullet, you have regressed so much over the years. Purple arcs flickered on the huge blade, and Mother Charlotte slashed out fiercely again. Ah, a sharp howl of a wolf resounded suddenly, and the twin demon Hoffman brothers turned into a giant two-headed wolf with a length of more than 10 meters and a width of more than 4 meters in an instant. Stepping on the fire of hell, the body was covered in poisonous smoke, and the ground sank visible to the naked eye, and 4 large pits were burned out in an instant. Stop being arrogant BIGMOM, today our brothers are here to take your dog's life. Merge form hyphenation point overlord Thorn. Clang. The sound of gold and iron fighting followed, and BIGMOM's pink nightdress also leaked a little scarlet red. The next moment, as if it had been planned in advance, Bullet stomped his feet violently, and the Conqueror's Haki and Armament Haki all over his body surged out, and they were sent to ultimate. An extremely thick ground thorn fell from the ground in front of BIGMOM without warning. Jumping out at electric speed, Conquerors, armed with dual blessings, the power of the combined fruit is also exerted to the limit. With a loud noise that shook the ground, the giant blade Napoleon directly penetrated deeply into the ground, and BIGMOM was also stagnant because of this. BIGMOM fell from the sky fiercely, tons. The vicissitudes and immature voices sounded at the same time, and the two-headed wolf of hell leapt forward, directly leaping over the sword energy that split the air. But at the moment when the knife fell, a strange scene appeared. The two-headed wolf from hell split directly and became 2 wolves. The gray wolf on the left smoked from its 7 orifices, and the red wolf on the right stepped on fire. It seems as if the two-headed wolf incarnated by the Hoffman brothers will be split in half from the middle in the next second. Looking at the Hoffman brothers who turned into two-headed wolves from hell, the corner of BIGMOM's mouth twitched with joy. Is there such an interesting little wolf cub under Lei Luo? I haven't heard of it. The bloody mouth opened wide, the wolf head on the left spewed out a stream of turbid poisonous smoke, and the wolf head on the right spewed out a fiery line of fire. When the poisonous smoke met the flame, it was instantly ignited, and the pillar of fire over 3 meters thick swept straight towards BIGMOM. Blood controlling blood pump. In the blink of an eye, the ground thorn pierced BIGMOM's abdomen without any suspense. BIGMOM stomped his feet violently, a burst of explosive power surged out of his fat body, he leapt up and jumped into the air, and the huge Napoleon sword slashed at the head of the two-headed wolf in hell. Pointing left and right, it is easy to avoid BIGMOM's powerful blow that is powerful enough to split mountains and mountains. Suddenly, Charlotte Linlin's complexion changed suddenly, and the blood all over her body spewed out like uncontrollably. And the blood demon Dracula, who had been waiting by the side for a long time, also stretched out his hands towards BIGMOM at this time, and grabbed the void. It is very dangerous for BIGMOM to be injured and bleeding in front of me. Obviously, Bullet's full blow pierced through BIGMOM's copper-skinned iron frame with a point Aaronkar, and broke its defense. Advertisement. Chapter 121. The world-shocking 4 Emperors duel, Cake Island collapses. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Mother. Homies on Cake Island screamed in shock. They are all born out of BIGMOM's soul fruit power, to some extent they are part of Charlotte's super mom. I can clearly feel that the vitality of my mother, who has always been invincible, is rapidly passing away. The corner of Bullet's mouth twitched a cold mockery. When BIGMOM chopped off half of his combined body, it was indeed extremely shocking, but it did not affect their follow-up plan. Whether it is offensive or defensive, there is only one ultimate goal, to break the defense of BIGMOM. As long as it breaks the defense, the blood demon Dracula can instantly draw out her blood. Even if you were born with copper skin and iron bones, you destroyed the Titan village at the age of 5 and killed 2 elders of the Titan clan in a flash, but even the blood was drawn out of your body, so there is no drama, right? This is why Bullet once thought that Dracula's ability was very pervert. He still remembers the fight with the blood demon Dracula when he first arrived at the white paper flower. Without knowing anything about the abilities of this guy, he was almost killed directly. The blood kept pouring out, the ground under BIGMOM's feet was completely soaked and stained red, scarlet blood gushed out, and even formed a stream of blood on the ground. It looked extremely terrifying. But in the next second, BIGMOM came back to his senses and clenched his fist violently, the muscles all over his body tensed instantly, as hard as iron, one piece, the blood that was bubbling out the last second actually stopped in an instant. And on the huge wound on Bigmom's abdomen, a layer of blood scab formed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, the bleeding was stopped and healed. The face of the blood demon Dracula instantly became ugly, stunned, surprised, unbelievable, lock blood. How is this possible? Theoretically speaking, as long as one is strong enough, and the control over the body and every inch of muscle is delicate enough, it is possible to temporarily lock the blood flow by stretching the muscles. For example, Iron Body in Marine 6 styles uses a similar. The principle is to coagulate blood and muscles to achieve the purpose of strengthening hardness. But even someone like Bullet, who has tempered Armament Haki to ultimate, can't stop him from attracting blood pumps. As long as there is a wound on his body, he can only obediently draw blood from him. How strong is this damn Bigmom? Well. The corners of Bigmom's mouth twitched, revealing an extraordinarily ferocious and terrifying smile, like a ghost mother-in-law in a fairy tale. As that old guy, the Red Earl, dead? No. The breath is wrong, white-haired brat, your ability is very similar to his. At the same time as the voice sounded, Bigmom also instantly pulled out the giant sword Napoleon inserted into the ground, and the giant sword with Conqueror's and armed color dual blessings slashed towards Dracula. *400cc blood shield. Boom. Dracula cut his palm, his own blood spurted out, and formed a scarlet shield in front of him at an extremely fast speed, but in just a short moment, the defense of the scarlet shield was directly smashed by Bigmom. And Dracula also took advantage of this short gap, spread his wings behind his back, and flew into the air to avoid it. The Bullet and Hofdemon brothers also came back to their senses. Big brother Hoff spewed out a mouthful of poisonous smoke, instantly enveloping Bigmom, and his younger brother Hodman spewed out a scalding fireball almost at the same time, when the poisonous smoke and flame touched. Boom. A shocking explosion blatantly rang out, and Bigmom's fat body was instantly engulfed in flames. The explosion caused a terrifying impact, turning into a strong wind and spreading in all directions. Hey, this is too crazy, the 3 monsters are attacking Bigmom. That 2-headed wolf is brother twin demon, right? Sure enough, the guys who can be valued by Captain Lei Luo and appointed as cadres are all ridiculously strong. Killed. After the 3 demons, Skuyid, Whitebeard, Doma and others also rushed to the battle scene of Cake Island. Seeing the attack of the hell 2-headed wolf hit and caused a huge explosion, they discussed inconceivably. No. It's not that easy. Bullet, who is familiar with Bigmom, has a particularly dignified expression. As one of the remnants of the old era, this is not the first time he has dealt with Big Mom. When the first generation One Piece rocks was still around, when the Roger pirates and Marine set up a siege to kill the rocks pirates, he had faced Bigmom who was serving rocks at that time. To be honest, this crazy woman's Armament Haki is really ordinary, but I can't stand it. She is a natural freak, with copper skin and iron bones, invulnerable, and has a very strong recovery ability. The one who defeated her just now. The defense is to take advantage of the unprepared situation and shoot with all your strength. Although the twin monster Hofdemon's offensive is fierce, the explosion damage is scattered instead of concentrated, which is not enough to break the defense at all. During the explosion, dust and smoke billowed everywhere. Neither the Hofdemon brothers nor Dracula rushed forward to attack, but squinted their eyes, staring solemnly at the gradually dissipating smoke and dust. Sure enough, amidst the billowing smoke and dust, a deep purple sword chi flew out, heading straight for Bullet, who had transformed into a giant beast. Bullet, who had been prepared for a long time, changed his eyes, and the combined fruit ability was exported to ultimate at this moment, and a high wall suddenly sprang out from the flat ground. Even the terrain changed, blocking Bullet in an instant. Boom. Advertisement. The high wall was torn apart, and the moment it collapsed, the land under Bigmom's feet sank. If you want to win a battle, you must have the combat quality to make one move and think 3 moves. The high wall that suddenly rises is not only to stop Bigmom's strong attack, but the purpose of Bullet is to cover Bigmom's field of vision, so that she cannot discover her little moves. Extend the power of the combined fruit from the ground, break the support point under Bigmom's feet, let her sink into the ground, and completely block her ability to move. *1500cc Blood Spear of Punishing God. Dracula, who turned into a human blood bat and a half-orc in midair, quickly gushed out blood from his cut palm, and condensed into a solid spear. The strange thing is that the blood-clotting spear was a creepy purple-brown color, obviously quench the poison. The purple-brown spear had just condensed, and flew out of his hand, and pointed directly at Bigmom's eyes, which are the most vulnerable parts of the human body, bar none. Hell cremation. Almost at the same time, the Hoffman brothers also showed their power brazenly, and the left and right wolf heads sprayed out poisonous smoke and hellfire at the same time, and the bursting fire pillar continued to burn the block Bigmom. This wave is stable. In the distance, Skuyard, Whitebeard, Doma and others all stared at him. The Bigmom whose mobility is blocked will not be able to deal with the attacks of the blood demon and the twin demon. The fiery flame looks more violent than the incandescent flame of the fire fist ace, and even the surrounding air is violently distorted. The spear, which has obviously been poisoned, looks like a highly poisonous condensate. Even if it just scratches the skin, it can be fatal. The fierce attack of the 3 demons teamed up, even Bigmom can't catch it unscathed. Quote! Quote. Bigmom shouted loudly, and a small sun with the size of a human head flew out of the cake castle. Here comes Mom. The little sun transformed into a sea of flames, directly enveloping Bigmom. The hellfire spewed out by the Hoffman brothers was actually deeply blocked by the flames of the incarnation of Prometheus, and the poisonous spear was instantly incinerated. It was only then that the crowd came to their senses. From the beginning until now, Bigmom has only used homies, the bicorn Napoleon. Haven't done my best from start to finish. Goo. The sound of swallowing saliva one after another. No way. The mouths of the pirates in the distant sea were wide open, and cold sweat broke out continuously. 4 Emperors Bigmom, it's really terrifying. The strength is too strong. The horrific hell flames of the twin monsters melted even the stones on the ground, but they were easily picked up by homies from Bigmom, and the poisonous spear was burned into nothingness by the hot temperature of Prometheus. It seems that the 3 monsters who pushed and swept across more than a dozen islands in the sea of 10,000 countries are not her generals at all. Boom. At this time, there was a violent sound from the ground, and Bigmom, which was born with strange power, broke out of the ground. In the field where dust and gunpowder smoke were scattered, Bigmom dusted off his body, raised his left hand to the sky, and the sun Prometheus rose into the sky. Fire in the sky. In the next second, fire rained down from the sky. Bullet, Dracula, and Hoffman brothers all turned pale. Big Mom's defense and recovery capabilities are too strong. Looking at the pitch-black thundercloud above the Cake Island, the hearts of the 3 monsters sank. They knew that even at this time, Bigmom still hadn't done its best. Seeing the sky full of fire and rain falling extremely fast, Bullet stopped the blood demon and the twin demons behind him. You guys back away, I'll come. Bullet's eyes were serious. The only way to stop the rain of fire was to turn the whole island into a part of his body. It was also at this time that a thunderous roar came from a distance. Everyone back down. The voice came from far away, but before the voice fell, a figure had already stood in front of the 3 demons. 0. Asking for flowers. Boss Lei Luo. Captain Lei Luo. The 3 demons showed joy, and the pirates on the distant sea also exclaimed excitedly one by one. The visitor was dressed in a dark suit, with a white hand-folded paper flower on his chest, a dark cloak, and silver epaulets on the left and right shoulders. Just when he learned that the 3 demons challenged Bigmom, the captain of the white paper flower pirates, 4 emperors, who rushed over quickly, was armed with disaster Lei Luo. Just standing there, Haki will be born, the momentum is full and majestic, just like an ancient mountain standing tall. Advertisement. Just looking at his back makes people feel extremely at ease, as if as long as you stand behind him, the world will collapse and nothing will happen. Lei Luo stood still, took a deep breath. Armament Haki, which had been tempered to the extreme, surged out, covering his throat, forming his dantian, exhaled and opened his voice, and turned his head to the sky. Roar. A roar was like thunder, and everyone subconsciously covered their ears. The tyrannical and domineering sound waves suddenly spread, and the stones on the ground shattered. It was only for a moment. Homies on the Cake Island was in a mess, scattered and unable to escape. Break away from homies. In just a short moment, the homies who were endowed with souls on Cake Island were all stripped of their vitality and turned into dead things without exception under the thunder and roar that touched their souls. Even the atmosphere was trembling violently, and the rain of fire falling from the sky in midair was instantly extinguished. Bigmom's face suddenly changed, and the incomparable sense of astonishment and shock swept through his body uncontrollably. At this moment, she clearly felt the main body, homie's Prometheus, was frightened, trembling, and begging her for help. She needs to continuously output more soul power to suppress Prometheus, so that it will not lose its soul like other homies. This domineering, soul-touching sound wave continued to spread. Boom. There was a violent sound of collapse, and amidst the movement of the earth and mountains, the Cake Castle located in the center of the Cake Island was extremely majestic, as if the majestic Cake Castle collapsed like a mountain. The tiles and masonry washed down. The whole Cake Island is littered. Lei Luo held his breath and stretched his waist, as if the Seong roar that collapsed the entire Cake Castle just now was just a warm-up activity before the real battle. While moving his arms and legs, Lei Luo walked towards the astonished and resentful Bigmom step by step. Mother 4 emperors. Then he waved provocatively at Bigmom. Come and play. King to king. Lei Luo's voice was not loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone present. The voice is peaceful, as if the declaration of war on Charlottes, cautious to the emperor, is just a trivial matter. FK, the captain is invincible. The emotions of the pirates behind him were instantly ignited, reaching ultimate, and the crowd did not know who yelled first, and the roar of mountains and tsunamis was louder than Lei Luo's just now. The thunder and roar are more powerful. Captain Lei Luo is invincible. Kill Aunt Charlotte. The captain is invincible. Teach this crazy woman a lesson. The white paper flower is invincible. Looking at the invincible Lei Luo, Bigmom's face was so gloomy that he could drip water. But in the next second, a creepy and terrifying smile appeared on her old face, emperor to emperor. Well, Bigmom smiled strangely, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. You deserve it too. If you beat back Kaido with more hits and less, then you have the strength to compete head-on with the old 4 emperors. Huh, I don't know the so-called stinky brat. Then play as you wish. Zeus, Prometheus, Napoleon. Thundercloud Zeus swept over, covering the sky and covering the earth, and the sky was illuminated by purple lightning and thunder. The sun Prometheus climbed up along the fat arms of Bigmom, turning into a sea of fire above its head. The huge sword incarnated by Napoleon in the bicorn had increased in size again, and turned into a 40-meter-long sword in the blink of an eye. Thunderclouds, holding a huge sword above the scorching sun. This is the real fighting posture of BIGMOM Charlotte Linlin going all out. BIGMOM's plump palm caressed the Napoleon's blade transformed into a great sword, a layer of iron gray covered it, and the glowing purple light flowed on the sword, Conquerors entwined, martial arts. The color covering is completed at the same time. Lei Luo. This will let you know how huge the gap is between you and me. Gun of Al Buff. Hakoku knife. Advertisement. Chapter 122. The Charlotte family collapsed, and the aunts betrayed their relatives. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Meanwhile, Jam Island near Cake Island. Katakuri, covered in blood, is in a more difficult situation under the joint siege of Marco, Ace, and Joes. Originally, Marco had been covering the retreat of his subordinates, and Katakuri relied on his superb sense of humor Haki to be able to fight evenly with Ace and Joes, but now that Marco joined the battle circle, Katakuri fell quickly into a disadvantage. Katakuri, you dare to kill Lakyo and Jingudo, you are really brave. Today, your big mother pirate group is about to be destroyed, so die. Marco's blue flames were burning all over his body, fighting to the point of madness. He had never seen such a difficult and terrifying consort, Fruit, Conqueror's Haki, especially John Wentz, which was even more horrifying. Simply stronger than Daddy. Although I have heard about this guy's strength for a long time, but hearing and reality are completely different things. Under the siege of the three of them, the other party was still able to use the terrifying foresight ability to fight back. If this person is not removed, even if the captain and the three monsters besiege Big Mom to death, the power of the Big Mom pirates will still be revived by this person soon. Anyway, Katakuri must die today. Katakuri wiped off the blood on his face, and under the broken scarf, his fangs turned out and his terrifying mouth was exposed. No matter what, you have to stay on this island forever today. The voice sounded, and Katakuri stomped his feet violently. The originally solid ground flowed like soft and sticky glutinous rice cakes, and the power of the awakened devil fruit exploded, flowing glutinous rice balls. However, in the next second, the flowing ground unexpectedly fell into a standstill without warning. What? How so? Katakuri looked stunned, and suddenly seemed to realize something, and turned around. Damn, a ship with a Shinigami embossed on its prow is fast approaching, and on the bow deck, a pair of scarlet ghost eyes are staring at him. Katakuri's heart sank suddenly. It's Lei Luo's left and right lieutenants, double ghosts. 90. Damn it, how dare Lei Luo make such a big deal? Fighting against Mother, how dare you send the twin ghosts to me? I really don't know how to live or die. While Katakuri's heart was heavy, there was also a strong sense of expectation. The White Paper Flower Pirates is a preliminary establishment. It was originally a combination of Whitebeard and Lei Luo's forces, and all cohesion is built on Lei Luo. Once Lei Luo loses, the cohesion instantly disintegrates. The key to Lei Luo's ability to compete with the veteran Four Emperors lies in his double ghosts. As long as I hold these people back and wait for my mother to completely break out and defeat Lei Luo, that's enough. Just as Katakuri was completely at a disadvantage, Butter Island in the Sea of Nations. Butter Minister Charlotte Tegeret, who is dressed in a red mini dress and a black fluffy cloak, is quietly boarding her exclusive car. The dagger in his hand blatantly stabbed at the bow of the singing ship, and homies on the bow fell silent instantly, and a dark green soul light cluster flew out. For today, she has already understood the weakness of this common surveillance homies. Monitoring homies is not like fighting homies, they are almost covered with weaknesses. As long as they have quick eyes and quick hands, they can be killed with a single stab. Outsiders often regard the singing pirate ship as the symbol of BIGMOM pirates, but only they who are children know that in the cold Charlotte family, the singing homies on the bow is actually used by the mother to monitor their eyes. The White Paper Flower Pirates are coming in a menacing manner. Regardless of the personality of the BIGMOM pirates, there is only one dead end if they continue to stay in the Sea of 10 Nations. If you want to survive, you can only abandon Charlotte's surname and escape here. Killing this noisy homies before sailing can also avoid being exposed to the White Paper Flower Pirates in the process of escaping from the world. In fact, if possible, Garrett is more willing to surrender to Lei Luo, and even marry him. She already has a good impression of this man who is more perfect than Katakuri's big brother, and she became Lei Luo's wife. Both can completely get rid of Mother's control, and get a powerful shelter. But right now this is obviously unrealistic. Recalling all the things that happened in the past 2 days, Jiali always felt extremely uncomfortable. Although the White Paper Flower attacked BIGMOM this time because Katakuri's big brother killed Lei Luo's subordinates, but Lei Luo came to attack the sea area of Wangwo after Brother Perot sent the invitation, which always made her feel like it feels like Garrett is the culprit in this incident. Come out. It's all right. Suppressing the distracting thoughts in her heart, Garrett shouted to her younger brothers and sisters in the distance. On the pier in the distance, more than a dozen figures appeared successively, the Charlotte family decamuplets headed by the 36th son Charlotte Tenuic, the 22nd daughter Charlotte Kaifeng, the 35th daughter Charlotte Tay Pudding and Garrett's younger sister Charlotte Tepival. Obviously, there are not a few children of the Charlotte family who share the same thoughts as Garrett. But they don't have enough strength, so they can only live under the shadow of their mother all the time. Now that the White Paper Flower is attacking the Sea of Nations, it is a good opportunity for them to get rid of their mother's shadow. Sister, we left the family, where are we going? Garrett's younger sister Povar asked. In the past, she had imagined leaving the family countless times, but until her dream came true, she became at a loss again. Garrett glanced at the navigation pointer on her arm. It's fine to go anywhere, but get out of here first. Praline is waiting for us at the edge of the Sea of Nations, and she gave me a route. If everything goes well, we can go to the island at the edge of the sea first. Get up and hide. The white paper flower pirates are all advancing towards Cake Island, and they won't turn back. It's safe there. Charlotte Praline is the 21st daughter of the Charlotte family, and she is also the Minister of Design for the entire sea area. She is very clear about the layout of the entire sea area. As a hammerhead shark and half-mermaid, Praline can even control the territorial sea katsuyu of the entire sea area. Let's go, little ones. Set sail. To escape. Advertisement. Cake Island at this time. Looking at the huge purple sword energy that came quickly through the sky and was powerful enough to cut across the sky, Lei Luo sneered. Gun of Al Buff. And it's not the powerful move commonly used by Aunt Charlotte, but the arm technique, Hakoku, handed down from generation to generation by Titan Albuff. At the same time, a line of task prompts popped up in front of Dwang. Mission tip. There is no place for 2 tigers on 1 mountain. There is no need for multiple emperors on this sea. Kill 4 emperors. Big MOM Charlotte Special Linlin. Mission reward. Attribute points plus 500. Drink. Lei Luo focused his eyes, exhaled and opened his voice. The armament haki all over his body gathered on his right arm at this moment, and the entire right arm became as black as ink and as deep as an abyss. The light around the arm was so pure that there was no trace of it. Variegated armament haki gets dimmed. In the next moment, the pitch black fist was thrown out brazenly. The punch was like electricity, and the sound of the punch was like thunder. Boom. With a thunderous explosion, Lei Luo set off a torrential wave of air, and the air wave swept away, like a 10th level horizontal tornado, sweeping towards BIGMOM. In an instant, the air wave collided with the sword energy, and the sword energy was instantly shattered by the overbearing air wave, while BIGMOM raised his arm at the right time to block the remaining force of the raging air wave. Clang. The air wave hit the huge sword, and the sound that came out was like gold and iron clashing. Forget this kind of temptation. Aunt Charlotte. Lei Luo held a cold and cruel smile. But BIGMOM's complexion gradually became gloomy. Just now, Hakoku thought she was born with strange power, armed color, Conqueror's double blessing, although there are indeed elements of temptation, but at least 60% of it was used strength, to be dispelled by Lei Luo's punch so easily. No wonder even the old boy Kaido was punched and vomited blood. It seems that this Lei Luo kid really has some real skills. Stop bragging, brat. Take mommy's trick and let's brag again. Thunder Pillar. A lot of shining light clusters sprinkled, and each light cluster is a soul. The soul light clusters fell on Lei and Zeus in midair, and Lei and Zeus suddenly fell into a state of berserk. The thunder and lightning that surged in the sky suddenly disappeared. Lei and Zeus opened his mouth, and an extremely dazzling purple thunder pillar over 10 meters thick blasted out towards Lei Luo. BIGMOM's eyes are filled with coldness and contempt. The speed of lightning is the speed of light, which cannot be dodged by humans. Even if your Lei Luo's armament haki is powerful and superb, but after all armament haki relies on the power of your own flesh and blood, even if you cover your body surface with it, the blocking effect on the power of lightning is very limited. And once the power of lightning enters the body, regardless of the instantaneous super high temperature, the huge amount of electric charges and ions pouring into the body are enough for Lei Luo to drink a pot. Excessively active charges and ions will cause abnormal discharge of neurons in the human body, muscle twitching, and blood blockage. Even if your armament haki is heaven-defying, you will not be able to break through. Lei Luo. Come here to challenge mom without the double ghosts. That's the biggest mistake you've ever made in your life. BIGMOM groaned, as if he had completely eaten Lei Luo to death. If Lei Luo came here with a pair of knocking ghosts, no, even if she just brought those ghost eyes, she would be extremely afraid. Being imprisoned with the ability of Devil Fruit, if he has to fight head-to-head with Lei Luo who is very good at armament haki, it is really unclear who will win the game. But this arrogant little devil is obviously overinflated, and he came here alone, and he is doomed to a miserable end. Well, BIGMOM let out a burst of joyful laughter, as if they had seen the tragic death of Lei Luo being struck by lightning. In the blink of an eye, the incomparably thick thunder pillar hit Lei Luo. Boss. While Bullet hurriedly protected Dracula and the Hoffman brothers, he also sweated for Lei Luo. Although he has absolute confidence in Lei Luo's strength, anyone who sees this thunderous blow that is more than 10 meters thick will feel terrified. However, the sweat that Bullet pinched is obviously superfluous. The dazzling lightning came and went quickly, and in an instant, the light of the thunder dissipated, and above the ground, a huge lacquered black sphere appeared at the position where Lei Luo was originally, perfectly round. It was pitch black, and from time to time there were residual thunder flashes. Quote. Armament haki. Bullet stared in horror and even pinched himself. If possible, he would rather believe that Frankenstein Floyd gave Lei Luo some kind of life-saving treasure. But the aura emanating from the pitch black sphere is indeed armament haki. As the one who tempered armament haki to ultimate, he can never be wrong. The most terrible thing is that the membrane wall of the armed sphere seems to be a thin layer, but Bullet can clearly feel that the thin layer of armament haki has no matter whether it is solidification, toughness, strength, etc. far more than the armed colors on his body. Haki combined is much higher. Goo. Bullet swallowed his saliva unconsciously, and his breathing also became disordered unconsciously. This is the armed color of the boss of Lei Luo, the real ultimate armed. Bigmom above the thunderclouds in the distance also had a face full of shock and astonishment. His eyes were solemn, his face was as sinking as water. Advertisement. What the hell is that black sphere? It was able to block the full blow of Thundercloud Zeus. Judging from the aura it exudes, it should be Armament Haki. How is this possible? Realizing this, Bigmom was shocked instantly. Shouldn't the armed color disintegrate and disappear quickly when it leaves the body? Let Armament Haki condense outside the body and not disperse, and can transform into shape freely. Even Captain Rocks, who was so strong in Conqueror's Haki back then, couldn't do such a thing. Is this the real attainment of Lei Luo on Armament Haki? It's really scary. At this time, the armored ball covering Lei Luo turned into a black mist and slowly dissipated. Lei Luo sneered and said, "Charlotte, your full blow, that's it. Try this." The voice sounded. Lei Luo opened his arms violently, and Armament Haki surged out all over his body, so strong that it was hardened to the bone marrow. Feeling the explosive momentum from Lei Luo and Armament Haki, Bigmom's face suddenly changed, knowing that it was going to be bad. She suddenly found that she couldn't move. This kind of feeling. The air machine is locked. Rather than being locked by Lei Luo's chi mechanism, it would be better to say that he was imprisoned by an invisible force. In the next moment, Lei Luo's outstretched arms suddenly closed in front of him, and the palms of both hands slapped together heavily. In the sky, two huge black palms appeared out of thin air, and there was an extremely dull sound of breaking wind. Like two colliding mountains, they suddenly closed together, knocking Big M shocks in the middle, crushing the bone and crushing the marrow. Successful. Hitted by Captain Lei Luo's attack. On the sea in the distance, the pirates of the Big Eddy Spider, the Ice Witch, and the Ranger, who belonged to the pirate group, saw Lei Luo hitting Bigmom with a powerful attack, and cheered excitedly. Stand up. Although they can't understand it at all, and they don't know what the two-armed slaps suddenly appearing in the air mean, but it doesn't matter to them, as long as they see Lei. Captain Luo made a strong attack, and it was enough that Bigmom couldn't fight back. Such a violent and tyrannical blow hit Bigmom impartially. This crazy old woman was probably smashed into a meatloaf by Captain Lei Luo's blow. The captains of the three vassal regiments, Skuyard, Whitebeard, and Doma clenched their fists in an incomparable tacit understanding. Their fists were shaking, their arms were shaking, their bodies were shaking, and even their breathing was trembling. Exclamation mark. Unbelievable, the veteran four emperors who have crossed the sea for many years, and the lunatic that Father Whitebeard would not easily provoke when he was alive, was just slapped flat by Captain Lei Luo. Captain Lei Luo, who was only 24 years old, defeated the old monster Bigmom so easily. Simply incredible. They still haven't forgotten the scene where the three demons were crushed a few minutes ago. Bigmom crushes the three monsters strongly, and Captain Lei Luo crushes Bigmom strongly. This picture really hits the eye, no, it hits the soul too much. But at this moment, click. 3.5. There was a slight but clear clicking sound in the ears of everyone present, and everyone who was cheering excitedly a second ago couldn't help being stunned. Boom. All of a sudden, the temperature in this piece of world suddenly rose, and everyone seemed to be in a super high temperature furnace. The atmosphere was twisted and deformed, and the trees on the island quickly dried up and burned. Even stones and gravel crumble and melt under this terrifying temperature. A pair of black and deep giant palms appeared from midair without warning. With a touch of the left hand, he held Prometheus the sun in his hand. At this time, squeeze both hands at the same time, as if crushing two bedbugs to death, the sun exploded, the thundercloud dissipated, and two huge soul light clusters floated out, flying towards Big. Go to hell, arrogant and ignorant brat, Mom will let you see what the real power of the imperial class is. The Emperor's sword breaking waves. Mother. But Bigmom couldn't take care of herself at this moment. Leian Zeus was grabbed, she immediately lost her foothold, and her fat body quickly fell towards the bottom. The two main bodies' homies felt their lives were threatened, and shouted to Bigmom for help. Catch the void with both hands at the same time. Burning blazingly, the monstrous fire is sweeping. But Lei Luo just stood there calmly, stretching out both hands at the same time, his left hand aimed at the flame of the incarnation of Prometheus the sun, and his right hand aimed at the thundercloud universe at the feet of Bigmom. What you are facing is the strongest woman in this sea, and it is me, Big Mom. Mom. Burn up. Bigmom, who was supposed to be flattened between two huge slaps, came out forcefully. D. Who do you think you are facing? The incarnation of the sun Prometheus, the flowing flames wrapped around the giant blade Napoleon. Bigmom stepped on the thundercloud, held the knife with both hands, and slashed from top to bottom, the flames slashed. But at the moment when two huge soul light groups entered Bigmom's body, Lei Luo obviously felt that the aura in Bigmom's body suddenly increased several times. Advertisement. Chapter 123. Shaking the world, surpassing 2 generations of One Piece's horror armed colors. Subscribe. Advertisement. At the same time that Lei Luo led the crowd to fight to the death with the Bigmom pirates, in the hinterland of the White Paper Flower Sea, above Ness's island. The originally clear sky suddenly darkened, and a huge dragon's head hung down from the thunderclouds flickering with purple lightning, and the Beizong dragon's body was looming in the clouds. Enemy attack. The sentinel shouted in a panic, and the alarm sounded in the entire White Paper Flower Sea area instantly. Team 8th Team Captain Spadokir and Team 14th Team Captain Namir's elite staff gathered quickly, and Karina also brought Silver Fox, Black Owl, Green Snake and Seaman Jinbei from the 4 attendants to White Paper Flower on the square outside the headquarters building of the Chamber of Commerce. Seeing the huge dragon head hanging down from the clouds, Namir's heart sank instantly. It was him, Kaido of the Beasts. Damn, how did this guy come here? They also read the emergency newspaper issued by the news agency, and they had expected that someone with ulterior motives would come to sneak attack when Captain Lei Luo and the large army were away. For this reason, Karina Big Sister also formulated a series of defensive deployment. But who would have thought that it would be the monster Kaido of the Beasts? Guhahaha. Kaido in midair laughed recklessly. It seems that little kid Lei Luo really doesn't have the qualifications to be emperor. Attacking the 10,000 Kingdoms Sea territory actually came out in full force, leaving only 3 or 2 of you kittens in my old den. I have never seen such a stupid emperor in my life. Ha 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 ha. I thought that Lei Luo would at least leave a few top fighters like Mirror and the 2 ghosts to guard the lair, but I never expected that Lei Luo, an idiot's lair, was so clean that it was almost empty. A Namur, a Spadokir, plus a Hexia Jinbei who was severely injured not long ago. Isn't that just 2 useless wretches plus 1 semi-crippled, and a few useless women? Just take a breath of the dragon, Fu Luo's territory is at your fingertips. Seeing Kaido being so arrogant, the Murloc Namur asked Karina in a low voice, Big Sister Head, what should we do? Why don't you give up your defense and follow me into the sea to escape, and make plans after Captain Lei Luo returns? Namur spoke the most embarrassing words to O4 in the most unwilling tone. If he could, he would like to step on the sky and fight Kaido to the death, the former Whitebeard, now the White Paper Flower, no coward. But doing so is futile, not to mention that he has no anti-air means at all. Kaido of the Beasts is a serious emperor, the group of people who really stand on the top of the world. Look at the whole White Paper Flower pirate in addition to Captain Lei Luo. I am afraid that there are only 2 ghosts, 3 monsters, Marco, Ace and others who can barely fight him twice. However, the main combat power of the pirate group followed Captain Lei Luo to attack the Sea of 10,000 Nations. At this moment, only he and Spadokir, the 2 captains, were left. There is no chance. Instead of dying in vain and losing the territory, it is better to retreat strategically and report the situation to boss Lei Luo in time. Karina's face was covered with a layer of frost, but there was a sneer on the corner of her mouth, as if she had already made up her mind. No need. Then he looked at the extremely arrogant Kaido of the Beasts in midair, and said coldly, Kaido of the Beasts. This is my White Paper Flower Sea territory. You invaded for no reason and uttered obscenities. Do you want to start a war with us? Guhahaha. Kaido, who was in midair, laughed more and more brazenly. Then fight. If you still have the strength to fight with me, you can accompany me at any time. Karina also sneered. Looks like losing to my Emperor Lei Luo last time didn't give you a long memory. Forget it. To deal with something like you, I really don't need my Emperor to do anything. My old lady is enough. Namur, Spadokir, Jinbei and the others froze on the spot. Big sister, are you crazy? What are you doing to P***s off this lunatic? Captain Lei Luo is not here, we are no match for Kaido at all. Snort. Kaido of the Beast snorted coldly in the clouds. The thing Lousy hates the most in his life is a stinky woman like you. Karina acted as if she didn't hear Kaido's words. I am ordering you to leave immediately and exit the White Paper Flower Sea area. I can decide what happens today, and let the past not be blamed. Leave the blame on Lousy. Just you. Kaido seemed to hear a big joke. The hearts of Jinbei and the others suddenly became suspended. Even if they were beaten to death, they couldn't understand how the shrewd Karina would be so hot-headed and provoke Kaido. But things have come to this point. I can only believe that Karina Big Sister is dead. Karina continued to say in a cold voice. If not, we will crush you and kill you. Then try it. Kaido roared. A resounding dragon chant resounded over Ness's island, and then, Kaido's dragon mouth opened wide, and the scorching dragon's breath burst out instantly. Advertisement. Quote. The fiery dragon's breath scorched the air and twisted it violently. Wherever it passed, there was a burst of scorching smell in the air. The hearts of Jinbei, Namur, Spadokir and others sank to the bottom of the valley instantly. Boom. But in the next second, a thunderous sound resounded over Ness's island. Jinbei, who subconsciously protected Karina first, did not wait for the attack to come. When he looked up, his mind suddenly buzzed. Just above Ness's island, a transparent hood-like energy shield perfectly blocks Kaido's fiery dragon breath, not even a trace of heat is transmitted through the energy hood. Jinbei and the others suddenly remembered that during Captain Lei Luo's enthronement ceremony, such an energy shield also appeared on the viewing platform and ceremony platform. No wonder Karina Big Sister is so reckless, it turns out that she has been prepared for a long time. In the next second, Frankenstein Floyd, who looked like an octopus with 8 claws, came to Karina with 8 mechanical arms floating behind him. Big Sister, thanks to Mr. Kaido's help, 137th gate charged particle cannons are fully charged and can be fired at any time. Karina smiled coldly. Launch. At the same time, the duel between Lei Luo and Aunt Charlotte on the Cake Island in the Sea of Wangguo is coming to an end. Continuously absorbing the souls of Thundercloud Zeus and Sun Prometheus, Bigmom's aura suddenly increased, and in the next second, she turned the Napoleon giant blade in her hand. Napoleon's giant blade seemed to sense the danger. No, Mom, don't. Ah. Crack. Bigmom's arms blatantly exerted strength, and directly broke homie's Napoleon who had been with her for many years. Immediately afterwards, another huge soul light group rose up and entered Bigmom's body. The essence of the soul fruit ability is to inject the soul extracted from the living body into the non-living body. And once the non-living body dies, the soul injected into it will return to the body of the original owner. The three homies of Zeus, Prometheus, and Napoleon are homies made by Bigmom with their own souls. With the return of the three souls to the body, the aura of Bigmom has become stronger than ever. She grinned ferociously. You can push mom to such an extent, Lei Luo brat, you are proud enough. That's all for now, though. Try this. The voice sounded, Bigmom clapped his hands, and a lot of soul light balls burst out from the palm of his hand in an instant, fell to the ground like beans, and sank into the soil. Lei Luo suddenly realized what Mother Charlotte wanted to turn the whole Cake Island into homies. Fun fun. Everyone get off this island. With Lei Luo's order, the three demons retreated without hesitation and returned to the pirate ship by the sea, but Lei Luo advanced instead. Drink. Exhale and let out a sound. The way of breathing changes suddenly, the color like a red-hot iron spreads rapidly along the spine, like a scarlet fire dragon swimming under the skin. In just a few breaths, Lei Luo the entire upper body was covered in Xiao Hongtao's sticker-like color. The whole person looks like a red-hot iron man. The chest, arms, waist and abdomen are not much worse than that hot and red furnace. Almost at the same time, the entire Cake Island trembled violently, the ground instantly arched, and a clay figure as fat as Bigmom broke through the ground, followed by a clear female voice. Are you calling me, Mom? Well, Bigmom smiled strangely. Let this kid become your nutrient forever, Gaia. Lei Luo knew everything in his heart. Sure enough, in addition to Zeus, Prometheus and Napoleon, Aunt Charlotte can create a stronger body, homies. In the original Book of Pirates, when Charlotte was chasing Straw Hat Crew, she injected the soul light into the sea, thereby manipulating the sea water and setting off huge waves. Gaia, Mother Earth, the so-called strike first. Before Gaia attacked, Lei Luo burst out an explosive power from under his feet, and rushed directly in front of Homie's Gaia to attack first. Homie's Gaia was instantly defeated, and the soil, sand and stones splashed everywhere. But at the same time when one Gaia was defeated, 2, 4, or 8 countless Gaias emerged from the ground. You must know that the main body of this Homie's Gaia is the entire Cake Island. Fight to consume. Lei Luo's eyes were fixed, and he instantly understood the purpose of Bigmom, wanting to consume Lousy to death. You think too much. Spreading out his right hand, a dark and profound miniature armed storm with the color of a red-hot soldering iron took shape instantly. Lei Luo waved his armed storm and fell to the ground, rising violently. In just a few breaths, it became a 10-foot-high. The bright red tornado swept directly across the entire Cake Island. For a time, the scorching heat spread everywhere, the whole Cake Island flew sand and rocks, and the red-armed tornado more than 10 feet high destroyed everything on the island wantonly. Although Gaia kept coming out of the ground, she couldn't keep up with the red-armed dragon. Volume destruction speed. On the big vortex spider pirate ship in the distance, the mountain monster Bullet's eyes widened in disbelief. Advertisement. This. What the hell is this stepping on a horse? He couldn't even restrain himself from being violent. Bullet stared at the red-armed tornado sweeping across the entire Cake Island with dazed eyes. After being shocked and stunned, he couldn't help drawing a big question mark in his heart. This is also Armament Haki. How could armed color do this? He didn't notice that his voice was trembling slightly. As one of the few people in the world who has tempered Armament Haki to ultimate, Bullet is sure that he will not be wrong. This is the breath of Armament Haki. This is too unbelievable. Even seeing it with my own eyes feels like a dream. I can't believe it. Everything in front of me is too unreal. Armament Haki can leave the body and exist directly in the air, which is enough nonsense, but can it also turn into a tornado storm with high temperature? He followed the One Piece King Roger, and also fought against the first-generation One Piece rocks, but looking at the long history of the Grand Line, even the 2 generations of One Piece could not achieve such a close relationship. Spectrum thing. What 920 is the real ultimate? How high is Lei Luo's attainments in Armament Haki? At this moment, a thought popped into Bullet's mind that even shocked him. The real ultimate may have no limit. Armament Haki can also be developed like Devil Fruit ability. This body must faithfully follow boss Lei Luo. Maybe, you can still get a glimpse of the true meaning of ultimate. Bullet thought like this, but he never expected that Lei Luo, who initiated the scene in front of him, was also full of shock at the moment. The system prompt in front of me suddenly popped up. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for having a clear mind and a sense of enlightenment for creating a brand new armed skill, Blazing Storm, additional rewards. Attribute points plus 200 close black lens bracket. Lei Luo was satisfied for a while. Combining the heat of the hot fist with the newly developed armed storm was just an immature concept that flashed in his mind. It can really come true. Not far away, Aunt Charlotte's eyes were full of shock and astonishment. What the hell? Isn't this kid really demon fruit power? What's up with this fiery red storm? This kind of thing can only be done by capable people, or even awakened ones, but the aura contained in it is clearly the aura of Armament Haki. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** SBMOM couldn't hold back any longer, and yelled out of control. Lei Luo sneered, "What do you think?" The voice sounded, and Lei Luo's fist, which looked like a hot red iron, smashed to the ground. Emission. The scorching hot energy poured into the ground in an instant, and the next second. Boom. There was a muffled thunder-like sound from the depths of the strata, and the entire Cake Island shook, as if it had been an earthquake, and the ground not far away cracked, and countless souls. The light spots rise up like countless fireflies, but they will never return to BIGMOM's body, and they will directly drift and dissipate in the air. Will the soul light ball seep into the ground and be defeated? Of course not. Emission is a special power that can penetrate directly into objects and human bodies, and destroy the target from the inside out. Immediately afterwards, having lost a large amount of soul origin, BIGMOM, who was severely injured, slammed on the ground and squirted out uncontrollably. At this moment, BIGMOM's expression became extremely distorted and terrifying. Damn B**************, D, how dare you? Halfway through speaking, he suddenly found that Lei Luo in front of him had disappeared. Fierce. Lei Luo's voice rang above his head. It's over. Big MOM. A fist like a red-hot iron slams down from top to bottom, and the fiery force is instantly immersed in. Advertisement. Chapter 124. The Armed Scourge Lei Luo known as Roxy. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The moment the scorching hot fist slammed down on the head, BIGMOM slammed his head sideways, and the red-hot iron-colored fist hit his shoulder. Just for a moment, the blazing heat soaked in, the sound of ZZ sounded, the left half of BIGMOM's body instantly turned red, and a burning smell wafted out. Damn B*************** D brat. BIGMOM was in pain, roared, and the screaming sound waves spread instantly. Thunder roar. Lei Luo also took a deep breath, and the Armament Haki, which had been tempered to the extreme, surged out, covering his throat, sinking his breath into his dantian, and exhaled. Roar. A roar was like a sky-shattering thunder, and the two bursting sound waves collided instantly, turning into invisible ripples and spreading around. The Cake Island, which had already collapsed into ruins, collapsed a second time and was completely reduced to powder. The entire Cake Island was billowed with dust and smoke, and was completely shrouded in smoke. Hey, I can't see people clearly. What's going on inside? On the sea in the distance, the spreading sound ripples made the sea turbulent, and the boats on the sea shook violently. The blood demon Dracula flew up into the air with a flick of his wings, and his eagle-like eyes glanced out. For a moment, he shook his head helplessly at the people below. The billowing smoke completely blocked his sight, and he couldn't see anything. Boom, boom. All that could be heard was the sound of fierce fighting like thunder and crackling coming from the smoke screen. In the smoke screen, taking advantage of the moment when the sound waves collided, BIGMOM covered Armament Haki's right fingertips directly pierced into her steel-like skin, and slammed down hard. Blood gushes out, billowing heat gushes out. She actually chose the same method as Kaido of the Beasts to eliminate Lei Luo's hot punch. But it was obviously too late. The flesh and blood broke open, revealing the bones that had been scorched yellow, and the flesh near the bones showed a cooked gray-white. Seeing this, BIGMOM was heartbroken. Crack. Leng Shengsheng broke his left arm. Seeing this scene, Lei Luo felt chills, talking about madness and wolves, and Aunt Charlotte was lying on top of the lunatic Kaido of the Beasts. Advertisement. Lei Luo, I'm going to die today, and I want to take you to be buried with me. The roaring sound full of berserk and killing sounds exploded, and the only remaining right arm of BIGMOM was instantly covered with a layer of iron gray, the arm color was covered, and the Conqueror's winding was completed at the same time. In an instant, the casserole-sized fist punched Lei Luo out. You can even see the surging purple arc around the fist. It is obvious that this is the product of Conqueror's Haki Ultimate after it has been embodied. With this blow, BIGMOM has reached Ultimate. You don't have the qualifications to be an emperor, and you still want to kill the emperor. Backquote. BIGMOM's fist zoomed in quickly in the field of vision, Lei Luo's mouth twitched into a sneer, his right arm shook violently, and the red-hot iron light color that originally covered the entire upper body flowed at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, all of them gathered on the right arm, the color on the chest, waist and abdomen, and the left arm quickly dimmed, while the red on the right arm turned red to ultimate. Facing the big fist of BIGMOM's casserole, he struck out with a quick and fierce punch, struck out at lightning speed, and the sound of the punch was like thunder. Boom. Before the two fists meet, BIGMOM's Conqueror's Haki wrapped around the fist has already collided with Lei Luo's stormy waves. There is still an inch of distance between the two fists, but the sound of thunderous air burst has already resounded through the sky. Just fall like this, little beast. The muscles on BIGMOM's right arm swelled like a blow, and instantly completed a second explosion, and the innate natural strange power burst into ultimate, and the two fists collided brazenly. Pound. There was an extremely dull muffled sound, followed by crack. Two subtle sounds of bone cracking came. In the next second, BIGMOM's right arm retracted limply like a puddle of rotten meat, a sizzling sound sounded, the bones were broken, and the skin and flesh were wrinkled and twisted by the scalding heat. Even a body that is inherently strong like steel can't withstand the blatant hot punches that are immersed in the body in the way of emission Haki and cause crazy internal destruction. But the savage corner of BIGMOM's mouth, which was hit so hard, twisted into a bone-piercing smirk. Buzz. The dull sound of breaking wind sounded from behind Lei Luo almost at the same time. The left arm that BIGMOM took the initiative to break off and discard unexpectedly, lived, at this moment. He raised his fist and smashed towards Lei Luo like lightning. Madman. Lei Luo slandered, and Aunt Charlotte turned her severed left arm into a homie's. As expected of Kaido's senior sister, the madness of the two is exactly the same. However, your full blow is still unable to shake me. 10 left arms can do anything. With a shake of the hand, the blazing power condensed on the right arm spread instantly and spread throughout the whole body. With a stomp of the feet, an armed storm as black as ink and as deep as an abyss immediately spread from under the feet, turning into an armed tornado as tall as a person. The strength then spread, and in just one breath, the pitch-black armed tornado turned red and turned into a fiery storm. Hitting at an extremely fast speed, Homies, who was transformed into Bigmom's left arm, was smashed into a pool of rotten meat in an instant, and even the soul light cluster floating out of it was instantly crushed. Advertisement. Boom. Lei Luo stomped his foot on the ground suddenly cracked and collapsed, and a large crater with a diameter of more than 3 meters appeared out of thin air. Riding on the strong explosive force and the strong whirling power of the fiery storm, Lei Luo jumped to the top of Bigmom in the blink of an eye, like the drill bit with a bright red handle fell down like an electric drill spinning at super high speed. Clang zzz. It slammed down on Bigmom's fat body, and the crisp sound of gold and iron clashing and the sizzling sound of flesh and blood being roasted sounded almost at the same time. Ah, Lei Luo, even if you are a ghost, I will not let you go. I will hunt you down to the end of hell. An extremely resentful and unwilling voice resounded over the Cake Island, and then the voice gradually weakened. And above the sea in the distance, watching the smoke and dust on the island turn into a cloudy tornado. Hearing this venomous and curse-like cry, even Bullet, Dracula and others couldn't help but there was a chill, perhaps because of Bigmom's soul fruit. This mournful and venomous cry actually gave people a trembling feeling that touched the soul. What's going on inside? Seeing the gunpowder smoke and floating dust on the island gradually dissipate, Bullet yelled and asked Dracula in midair. Before Dracula could answer, a gust of sea breeze blew by, and everything on the island gradually became clear. What catches the eye is a dark suit, wearing a white handmade origami paper flower, and wearing a big black Lei Luo. The tyrannical, cold, fearless aura spread faintly, just standing there. Zhao Haozhao gave people an extremely reliable, but also extremely awe-inspiring feeling, as if standing in troubled times a high mountain, people look at it with admiration and daunting. Seeing the tall and straight figure, Bullet and the others clenched their fists heavily, feeling extremely excited. But in the next second, the excited expressions on everyone's faces froze, because not far behind Lei Luo, an extremely fat and huge body was still standing. How is it possible? Bigmom is still standing. No way. An unbelievable atmosphere quickly spread among the crowd. They saw the battle just now with their own eyes. The whole Cake Island was trembling, and the nearby seawater was also turbulent. Can it be born? About 10 seconds later, the smoke and dust on the island completely dissipated. Song. Hiss. The sound of hissing and gasping on the sea in the distance came one after another, and as the smoke and dust completely dispersed, everyone was able to clearly see everything on the island. Advertisement. Chapter 125. The Death of the Ant, bringing the territory of all nations into the territory. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Captain Lei Luo's chest was heaving up and down, and the color like a red-hot iron was slowly fading all over his body, obviously exhausted. But Bigmom. There is a huge transparent hole with a diameter of more than 1 meter between her sternum and abdomen, and she is staring at Lei Luo incredulously, unwillingly, and resentfully. It was as if they never expected to be completely defeated by Lei Luo in such a short period of time. Unwilling, resentful, but helpless. I can't move my body at all. You can only stare at your enemies when you are dying. Wrong. Wrong from the start. Lei Luo, this little B************ D can really hide his clumsiness. This guy's strength is properly 4 Emperor's level. No, to be precise, it is the 4 Emperor's ceiling, which is not far behind the world's strongest Captain Rocks back then. But he has concealed his true strength since the enthronement ceremony, sending out a completely misleading message to the outside world. Those who ride horses are too young and immature. This new emperor is old and dull. Very cunning. Beat Kaido with more hits and fewer. According to the estimation of this guy's strength, even if he is alone, he is more than enough to face Kaido. Kaido is really lucky to be able to escape from Lei Luo's hand, but she is not as lucky as Kaido. The divine light in his eyes dimmed visibly with the naked eye until he completely lost his spirit. As the sea breeze blew, Bigmom's huge body shook the table for a while, and the sweet potato fell down. Ton. Earth shakes. It is not only Charlotte who fell, but also the Bigmom pirates, which also symbolizes the complete collapse of Charlotte's regime in the Todo Land Kingdom, and the 10,000 seas may change hands. Long live. Lei Luo is invincible. 4 Emperors Bigmom, dead, FK, His Majesty Lei Luo is invincible. 537. Long live. Invincible. Welcome my Emperor Lei Luo to come to the sea. Seeing Bigmom completely collapsed, Squid, Doma, Whitebeard and others on the pirate ship in the distance took the lead in shouting and cheering. Immediately afterwards, the shouts of mountains and tsunami quickly rang out, and there were continuous solutions. The Bigmom pirates approached the Cake Island and joined the cheering camp. Incredible. In less than 2 hours, the veteran 4 Emperors Bigmom fell like this, under the iron fist of Emperor Lei Luo. Compared to everyone's disbelief, Lei Luo himself was very calm. The armed color that has been tempered to the extreme allows him to achieve extreme strength. The so-called extreme is above the ultimate, and it is even better than the ultimate. If his strength still stays at ultimate, he will inevitably have a fierce battle against the Ant Charlotte, who was born with copper skin and iron bones, just like he did against the old man Garp. Hard to pose a threat to him. Advertisement. Especially Ant Charlotte's 50% strength is above the soul fruit. In the face of the absolute strength of the extreme armed forces, any fancy is useless. No matter how strong the homies she made is, she is no better than herself, but she is still no match for Lei Luo, so what is homies who is full of tricks? Even if she didn't knock on the door, her soul fruit would be too embarrassing to use in front of Lei Luo. If she takes advantage of her innate advantages, tempers her body like Kaido, and improves her already copper-skinned and iron-framed body, maybe she will be a difficult opponent. But she pinned all her strength improvement on the soul fruit, so she was doomed AEBG to win the high-end game, but not the top game. The fall of 4 emperors BIGMOM is not accidental, but destined. Almost at the same time, the system in front of Lei Luo reminded Dwang's flickering. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for completing the mission, killing 4 emperors Big MOM Charlotte Special Linlin, getting mission rewards, attribute points plus 500 close black lens bracket. Mission reminder, wars are used to support wars, and the land of kings is fattened by wars. Incorporate BIGMOM's Fanguo Sea area into the territory, mission rewards, attribute points plus 1000, this mission is a long-term mission, close black lens bracket. Mission reminder, if you want to be the king, open up the territory and completely defeat the BIGMOM pirate group, mission reward, attribute points plus 2000, the current progress of this mission is 99/100ths, and it is only the last point, work hard. Close black lens bracket. Lei Luo frowned slightly, BIGMOM is down, doesn't it count as a complete defeat of BIGMOM pirates? That is, there is a big fish slipping through the net. Then open the system interface. Name, Lei Luo. Age, 24 years old. Strength, Admiral, Armament Haki level. Extreme Armament, Absolute Domain, 249 10,000ths, you have broken through the pinnacle, achieve the ultimate, the road to become stronger is endless, continue to move towards the new ultimate. Attribute point balance, 700. Armed skills, Hot Fist, Thunder Roar, Blazing Storm. Gain buff, none. Mission 1. If you want to be the king, defeat Garp the Fist, who is recognized as the strongest Armament Haki owner in the world. Mission reward, Armament skill Mountain Piercing Iron Fist, this mission is a long-term mission. Task 2. Carrying it with you and adapting to the magnetic field of radioactive substances and pure gold will bring continuous improvement to the host, with daily attribute points plus 1, this task is a daily task. Mission 3. If you are the king, expand the territory and completely defeat the BIGMOM pirates, mission reward, attribute points plus 2000, the current progress of this mission is 99/100ths. Add all 700 attribute points to Armament Haki, and the progress bar flickers and changes. Extreme Armed Forces, Absolute Domain, 949 10,000ths, you have broken through the peak, achieve the ultimate, the road to become stronger is endless, continue to march towards the new ultimate. Close black lens bracket. The fiery heat continuously oozes out from the spine and spreads to all parts of the body. Lei Luo's complexion changes slightly, the heat no longer penetrates into the bones, but keeps wandering through the 8 extraordinary meridians, this kind of it feels like thousands of hot bugs are gnawing at the veins all over my body, unspeakably uncomfortable. Same moment, on the Cheese Island not far from the Cake Island, the new captain of the White Paper Flower Pirates, Ian the Velociraptor, smashed the head of the debt collection officer, Bo Bin who commanded the Revenge Army under BIGMOM with one claw. This should be the last wave. Advertisement. Looking at the Cheese Island full of corpses and the offshore waters stained red with blood, Ian the Velociraptor said with some difficulty, he felt more and more that Captain Lei Luo was invincible. Fighting against BIGMOM's miscellaneous soldiers for so long is exhausting enough, not to mention that he is an ancient zone demon fruit power known for his physical fitness. I really don't know how Captain Lei Luo managed to fight with Marine Admiral Garp, Sengoku. The two living legendaries have been fighting for so long with the undead Kaido, the strongest creature in the sea, land and air. Not far away, Langba, the captain of the Langba pirates, gasped and said, it should be. On the seashore, the descendant of the devil with a figure like a towering mountain blocked most of the revenge army of the BIGMOM pirates. Little Ozzy panted, rest where you are, pay attention to vigilance, and join Captain Lei Luo and the others as soon as possible. The battle between the army of the White Paper Flower Pirates and the revenge army of the BIGMOM pirates came to an end with the loss of thousands of soldiers of the White Paper Flower Pirates. On Jam Island, the battle between Katakuri and Komen Schwangui and the 3 captains is also coming to an end. Katakuri, who was covered in blood, was empty-handed at this time, and his spear, Earth Dragon, had already been broken in the fierce battle. Blood oozes out of the corner of his eyes, which is the sequelae caused by excessive use of the color Haki to see the future. What is desperate is that under the siege of 5 people, no matter how hard he tries to see the future, he can't see it. Not even a glimmer of life in sight. The combination of the 2 ghosts is far more difficult than the 3 captains of the original Whitebeard. Devil Fruit's ability was imprisoned, and Haki was almost exhausted after repeated wheel battles. Return the lives of Lakyo and Jingudo. Ha 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 ha. The shattered bone pierced the lung lobe and pierced deeply into the heart. Almost at the moment when Katakuri's vitality was completely cut off. Obviously, he has reached his limit, he can't even display his body armor and armament. Katakuri closed his eyes slowly, and the only 2 thoughts in his unconscious mind were, Mom, I tried my best. I'm sorry, Bree, big brother let you down. The firefly turned into a blazing white flame in the blink of an eye, and the explosion sounded, but this time, Takuri's tyrannical armament Haki did not rush out to protect his body. The Phoenix Marco, whose body was covered in azure blue flames that had already dimmed quite a bit, fought to the point of madness. Although his body was extremely exhausted, he only had one unshakable thought in his mind: kill Katakuri, and use this guy's head to kill him. To commemorate Leikeo and Jinguduo, who have been together for more than 10 years, and cut their heads into ladles. Take his blood as wine. 2 ghosts. I really want to know, how long can your captain Lei Luo survive in the hands of his mother without you Lu Zhen? No matter how long the fierce battle is, the real winner is only at that moment. Stop talking nonsense to him. Kill. Hour. Boom. The ghost man agent went up with his hammer and crutches, 2 huge and round hammers, one on the back of the head and the other on the back of the heart, and directly in front of Katakuri, was the shining diamond Josie Diamond Fist. In an instant, the back of Katakuri's skull was shattered, the backbone was shattered, and the chest bone was shattered. Without the protection of Armament Haki, the Emperor's deputy and quasi-emperor level powerhouse are only worthy of such a match. Fire Fist Ace let out a roar, stretched out his hands, and countless green lights flew out, wrapping around Katakuri in an instant. Firefly Fire Dharma. In front of Lei Luo of Cake Island. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for completing the mission and completely defeating the BIGMOM pirates. Suddenly got the mission reward. Attribute points plus 2000 close black lens bracket. Katakuri spewed out a mouthful of turbid blood mixed with internal organ fragments from the mouth of Katakuri's fangs, and his vitality quickly disappeared, but there was a taunt in his eyes that were gradually dimming. Advertisement. Chapter 126. The End of the War. Red-haired Shanks broke into the Sea of All Nations. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The Edge of the Seas of All Nations. The 3 warships docked silently. On the deck, Akainu Sakazuki, Kizaru Pelusolino, and Aokiji Kuzan were waiting in full force, with incomparably dignified expressions. And behind the 3 admirals, the Huo Shaoshan, Ghost Spider, Flying Squirrel and other vice admirals and soldiers even raised their hearts to their throats. And what made the marine side so vigilant was the pirate ship with a wooden carving of a red dragon head floating quietly on the sea not far away. The tall mast sails, and the skull flag with 3 scars at the corner of the eye flutters high. It is the Redforth of the red-haired Shanks. The red-haired Shanks stood on the bow of the Redforth, his cloak fluttering against the sea breeze. On the left and right sides were the Emperor's deputy Ben Beckman and the combat chief Lajulu. Rox and other crew members lined up on the left and right. On the watchtower, the muzzle of the sniper Lang Sabu's black hole has already aimed at the head of the fastest yellow ape in Admiral. In fact, the 2 sides have been in such a tense confrontation for more than 20 minutes. This matter is related to the future structure of the entire world. Please sell me face. Red-haired Shanks, the world's no. One Conqueror's figurative Red's thunderbolt is beating faintly. If there is a disagreement, it will be crushed directly with Conqueror's overwhelming momentum, the momentum of the past. What the future world looks like, it seems that it has nothing to do with you, a pirate. Don't mind your own business, Shanks. Akainu Sakazuki's face was so gloomy that water dripped out, but he also bit the bullet and said in a cold voice. The orders from above must be to block the red-haired Shanks. Don't let this nosy guy get involved in the decisive battle between the white paper flowers and BIGMOM, and 5 elders warned that this is his last chance. No matter what, Shanks must not be allowed to break into the Sea of Nations. However, it's funny to say, the 3 marine admirals actually became guards for the pirates. At this time, the red-haired Shanks suddenly raised his head, and the sound of fighting that had been faintly coming from the depths of the 10,000 Nations Sea was completely inaudible. Shanks' expression froze. Has Lei Luo and Aunt Yuan Luo already decided the winner? No, the battle between the 4 emperors cannot be decided so quickly. After reaching the emperor level, physical fitness, skills, etc. will be improved by leaps and bounds. It is normal for the emperor to fight head-to-head for 10 days and nights at a time. If I remember correctly, the previous decisive battle between Charlotte and Kaido lasted for 10 days and 10 nights, and finally ended with the outbreak of Charlotte's cravings, and the outcome was not decided. Therefore, there is a high probability that Lei Luo and Charlotte will have a truce, rather than a winner. Advertisement. But it is related to the future pattern of New World. You must confirm it yourself, no delay. Thinking of this, Shanks' Conqueror's Haki surged up again, and the red lightning kept flashing. It was just the aura, and the surrounding air was seriously distorted. Stand up, Shanks said coldly. Today, I must enter the Sea of 10,000 Kingdoms. If the 3 of you want to stop me, then give it a try. At the same time as the voice sounded, Shanks had pulled out the famous knife griffin from his waist. Clang. The subordinates behind him drew their knives and guns at the same time, and the Yasubu Seastone bullets were loaded with a click. On the opposite side, the 3 marine admirals headed by Akainu also noticed the anomaly that all the flags in the 10,000 Nations Sea had died down. The battle between the 4 emperors is over so soon. Things are abnormal. The 3 of them looked at each other in blank dismay, and they all saw deep astonishment and bewilderment in each other's eyes. However, since the war is over, even if the red-haired Shanks enters, it will not change anything. After a brief exchange of looks, Aokiji Kuzan took a deep breath, as if he had made some major decision. Then let the red-haired captain lead the way. We marine are also very curious about the final outcome of the 2 4 emperors fighting head-on. Akainu Sakazuki did not express any objection. Since the fighting inside has stopped, it means that everything has settled and their mission has been completed. Going in with the red hair can not only prevent this guy from instigating it, but also get the first-hand information on the result of the battle between the white paper flower and BIGMOM, and pass it back to the headquarters. Lei Luo's mistake of tying meat tickets. Shanks didn't pay attention to Akainu's arrogant behavior, and waved his hand directly, and the Redforts started to move forward, advancing strongly. Aokiji waved to the crowd behind him, follow them. Cake Island in the center of the Sea of Nations 2 hours later. Advertisement. The destroyer and the 9 snakes are quietly anchored off the coast of Cake Island, and the female soldiers of the 9 snake pirates are scattered all over Cake Island, occupying the island. 0. Ask for flowers. Lei Luo sat on the open space of the coastal pier, with a big flag planted beside him, the bottom of the black flag, the white roses crossed into an X, and the skull jumping on it. It was the white paper flower pirates' pirate flag. After the battle, it is inevitable to plant the flag. The rules of the pirates, whoever takes down the territory belongs to whom. As for Bullet and others, under the order of Lei Luo, they have already gone to the 34 islands of Wangguo to plant flags and change flags. The pirate Empress Boa Hancock stood quietly by Lei Luo's side. In addition to the infatuated admiration in her eyes, there was even more incomparable awe. Originally, he thought that this entourage would show his talents in front of Lei Luo and increase his favorability, which made Lei Luo realize that she, like Karina, is a woman who can help him. The 9 snakes, which followed the destroyer, didn't fire a single shot, and became a spectator the whole time. The white paper flower pirates swept all the way, not even giving them a chance to clean up the battlefield. Since the front didn't help, at least watch him break through. However, what surprised and awed Boa Hancock even more was Lei Luo's strength. He actually killed BIGMOM Charlotte, one of the veteran 4 emperors. The 24-year-old Lei Luo, and the 66-year-old Charlotte, regardless of strength, qualifications, and military strength, no matter how you look at it, the BIGMOM side is superior, and the battlefield is directly in the Sea of 10 Nations. The BIGMOM pirates can be described as it's taking advantage of the right time, place and people, but still losing to the white paper flower. The head-to-head contest between Huang and Huang was unprecedentedly ended in less than 2 hours. Lei Luo was unscathed, and Aunt Charlotte died in a miserable state. Who would dare believe that all this is true if they have not seen it with their own eyes? Unbelievable even to see it with your own eyes. Compared with Lei Luo's formidable strength, the speed at which his own strength improves is the real horror. Sitting next to Lei Luo, Hancock can clearly feel that this guy's strength is increasing again. It seems that every time he fights, his own strength will usher in a qualitative leap. And this time the increase was probably greater than the sum of the increases she had seen, because the aura leaking from Lei Luo's body made her feel more and more trembling. Advertisement. Chapter 127. The red-haired whole ship was extremely shocked. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Suddenly, Lei Luo opened his eyes fiercely, and a fearless, powerful aura shot up into the sky, and a strong wave of air spread fiercely in all directions with Lei Luo as the center. The billowing dust and smoke on the Cake Island behind him danced wildly, and the offshore sea in front of him was billowing and turbulent. The 9 snake detachment army on the island was instantly overturned to the ground, and Boa Hancock's own Conqueror's Haki involuntarily broke out, manifesting as the protector. However, Hancock was still frightened by this earth-shattering and powerful aura, and the feeling of oppression swept over her body uncontrollably, even making her breathless. His eyes glanced at the sky inadvertently, but this startling glance made Boa Hancock completely stunned on the spot as if struck by lightning. The clouds in the sky were sweeping like torrential waves, with bursts of turbulence and layers of ripples, as if a big hole had been opened above the sky, and the dazzling sunlight fell down on Lei Luo. Why is 900 possible? It's just an aura, but it can cause a change in the world. Boa Hancock's beautiful eyes were full of shock and astonishment, even the pupils were trembling. Just arousing one's own aura can change the color of the world. Even Conqueror's Haki needs to be cultivated to a very high level to achieve it. Armed color is recognized in the world, and even the crudest existence in Conqueror's Haki can do it arrive. The scene in front of him completely overturned Boa Hancock's cognition of Conqueror's Haki, as incredible as the Arabian Nights. But she soon realized that it was not Armament Haki who was strong, but Lei Luo who trained Armament Haki to ultimate. Looking at Lei Luo, Boa Hancock's belief in his heart became extremely firm, and he will never marry Lei Luo in this life. At the age of 24, he defeated BIGMOM Charlotte, one of the veteran 4 emperors, with great strength, completely breaking the record for the duration of the 4 emperors' battle, but his strength and speed of progress did not slow down. Slowed down, the momentum became more violent. In just 2 hours, it broke through to a new height. If there is anyone in this world who can completely overthrow those celestial dragons standing on top of all beings, and wash away the flying dragon's hooves branded on her back, it must be him. Natural disaster. Calamity of celestial dragons. While the beautiful pirate empress was about to drop her jaw in shock, Lei Luo was engrossed in looking at the system interface in front of him, with uncontrollable joy in his eyes. Name: Lei Luo. Age: 24 years old. Strength: Admiral. Armament Haki level: Extreme Armament, Absolute Domain, 2949 10,000ths. You have made another small step towards the new ultimate. Please continue to move towards the new ultimate. Advertisement. Attribute point balance: 0. Armed skills. Hot Fist, Thunder Roar, Blazing Storm. Gain buff. None. Mission 1. If you want to be the king, defeat Garp the Fist, the strongest Armament Haki owner recognized in the world. Mission reward. Armament skill Mountain Piercing Iron Fist. This mission is a long-term mission. Task 2. Carrying it with you and adapting to the magnetic field of radioactive substances and pure gold will bring continuous improvement to the host, with daily attribute points +1. This task is a daily task. The 2000 attribute points obtained by destroying the entire BIGMOM pirate group have greatly improved his own strength. Not only did it completely complete the refining of the marrow, but it also opened up a new field of refining the body, the penetrating meridian. This is the name Lei Luo gave to his current state based on the concepts in Yanwangguwu in his memory. The so-called Guanmai refers to the meridians that run through the whole body. After more than 2 hours, suffering from pain and itchiness in the meridians all over his body, now as long as he is willing, he can close his eyes and sink his vision into the inside of his body, and he can see more clearly that more than half of his meridians are in the extreme state armament. Under Haki's tempering, it completely transformed into Urushi Black. As long as you adjust your breathing a little, you can clearly feel that your own blood flow is several times faster, and the meridians all over your body can withstand faster blood circulation, which means that the toughness and strength of the meridians have been greatly improved. What really surprised Lei Luo was that the entire Ren meridian belt in front of the body and the entire Du meridian belt at the back of the body have all been penetrated and completed armed blackening, except that the Tiandi bridge between the two Ren and Du meridians has not communicated. Looking at the progress bar of Armament Haki's practice, there may be dozens of attribute points. When the progress bar reaches 3010 thousandths, the heaven and earth bridge between the two veins of Ren and Du will be truly connected, and the two veins of Ren and Du will be connected. Integrate into one body and open the small weekly cycle that only exists in Legendary. Lei Luo's eyes were burning with fire. Now that Ren Du's two veins have not been connected, he has opened up a new field in the history of Armament Haki's practice, and he can even face the powerhouses of the Four Emperors level in less than 2 hours. For absolute victory. When Ren and Du's two veins are penetrated, who else on the Grand Line can stop his rise? At that time, perhaps he will truly ascend to the throne of the strongest in the world. Although Lei Luo has never pursued these false names very much, when he thinks that the number one in the world is close at hand, it is inevitable that there will be waves of excitement in his heart. Standing up, stroking his fists, feeling the terrifying power flowing in his body, Lei Luo's eyes unconsciously fell on the hill-like corpse of Aunt Charlotte in the distance, and with his current strength, he met what Aunt Charlotte said. It is no exaggeration to say that 3 punches are enough. Have you completed your breakthrough? Seeing Lei Luo standing up, Boa Hancock stepped forward to inquire. Even she herself didn't realize that she was already a bit timid in her demeanor when facing the current Lei Luo. Facing the absolute strong, the weak can only tremble. Lei Luo smiled lightly. Thank you for protecting me. Boa Hancock's eyes suddenly became infatuated. Lei Luo smiled at the concubine. No, be polite, it's what concubines should do. Advertisement. Fierce. Lei Luo, who wanted to tease Hancock again, looked up at the sea far away. The continuous strength breakthrough brought him a qualitative leap in body and senses. Now his vision has reached the point where the naked eye is comparable to an 8-fold mirror. What is qualitative improvement? This is quality improvement. In his extremely distant vision, he could clearly see 4 black dots appearing in the distance, and one of them was the red-haired Shanks Redforth's bow with a red dragon head in extremely high resolution. And the remaining 3 are 3 warships. Redhead Shanks, and Marine. Are you trying to save me again? Too bad you're a bit late, Shanks. Recalling all the things this guy with an ambiguous attitude did in the Whitebeard extermination battle, Lei Luo suddenly realized the reason for the red-haired Shanks. And on the Redforth, Yesabu, who had been observing the situation through a high-power sniper scope, suddenly came to the red-haired Shanks, his eyeballs suddenly popped, and his jaw almost fell off. He punched the eagle-like eyeballs hard twice, and the 3.6 red eyeballs were full of disbelief, and it felt like a big wave hit him head-on. What the hell? The fallen body. Yesabu was stimulated by the scene in the high-power sniper scope, moved his lips, and felt his brain buzzing. So, didn't the 2 emperors reach an agreement to cease fighting? But BIGMOM died. What the FK are you kidding? Yesabu looked at Hongfa and the others in a daze, and after a while he said with some palpitations and disbelief, Boss. Boss. What's wrong? Yesabu said in an unbelievable tone. The flag of the White Paper Flower Pirate Group is planted on the Cake Island. BIGMOM is suspected of death. What? Rao is the red-haired Shanks. His eyes widened suddenly when he heard the news, with incomparable astonishment, shock and disbelief flowing in his eyes. Advertisement. Chapter 128. The Horror of the Marine Admirals. Please subscribe. Advertisement. Lei Luo killed Aunt Charlotte. Listening to Yesabu's report, a kind of incomparable astonishment and disbelief quickly spread in the hearts of everyone in Red Hair Pirates. Chewing in Laji Junction, who had been eating meat all the time, suddenly choked on the chunk of meat that slipped into his throat. The cigarette in the hand of Ben Beckman, who has always been calm and wise, even fell to the ground. In fact, he already felt strange on the way of sailing all the way, and the people from the BIGMOM pirate group on all the islands he passed could not see. It's not so much a truce between the two sides, but it feels more like Lei Luo's white paper flowers have wiped out the entire sea of nations. But this, how is this possible? What are you kidding about stepping on a horse? The absurd conjecture seems to be about to become reality, but there is only a blank in Ben Beckman's mind. In the deadly silence, everyone was stunned and felt the same inconceivable feeling in their hearts. How is it possible? The already gloomy red-haired Shanks frowned even more. Although Lei Luo is very strong, he has always been optimistic about him, but he has always been optimistic about Lei Luo's talent and qualifications in 2004. He personally tested Lei Luo's strength during the Whitebeard extermination war. He is very strong, very strong. It is amazing to have such strength at the age of 24. But, to put it bluntly, there was still a big gap between Lei Luo at that time and the powerhouses of the older generation, or the real emperor-level powerhouses. Although he has been sealed as an emperor, his strength should still be a little short of the real emperor level. Although he defeated the undead Kaido of the beasts, who was known as the strongest creature in the sea, land and air, at the enthronement ceremony, he used the power of his subordinates to fight more and less. First, Marco, Ace and others consumed Kaido in a wave, and then used Ghost Eye. Rudolph's confinement ability has greatly suppressed Kaido's strength, and this is the only way to beat back. This is enough to show that there is a big gap between Lei Luo and the old emperor-level powerhouse. Shanks snatched Yesabu's sniper rifle, and with the help of the high-power scope on the gun, looked at the faraway Cake Island, and was instantly stunned as if struck by lightning. Advertisement. Aunt Charlotte's huge body like a hill fell to the ground, and she was missing the left half of her arm. And on the coastal pier is the flag of the white paper flower pirates. Lei Luo is standing beside him. He seems to be looking this way too. Beside him is the pirate empress. Shanks, hand holding the gun, shook violently, as if he was being slapped by a wave of Taoist eyes. Lei Luo really killed Grandma Charlotte. It shouldn't be, there should be a gap between him and the real emperor. How long has it been since the last Whitebeard extermination? Even if he is talented and heaven-defying, it is absolutely impossible for him to jump enough to kill a veteran emperor like Charlotte in such a short period of time. Or, this time he also borrowed the power of the double ghosts. It's even more impossible. Shanks smothered the idea as soon as it was born. At the beginning, Kaido single-handedly smashed Lei Luo's field, and the main battlefield was still on Lei Luo's territory. But this time, the battlefield is in Bigmom's Sea of Nations. Charlotte, who can control many homies, can easily suppress Lei Luo's double ghosts, and has an absolute advantage in terms of military strength. With those ghost eyes and Charlotte the difference in strength, as long as one breath, Charlotte can easily bury him. If you poke the ghost's eyes blind, that ghost is even less scary. So it doesn't make sense for Lei Luo to use the power of his subordinates to defeat Charlotte. Not to mention that Charlotte's super ant also has 3 desert generals, among which Katakuri is only one step behind the emperor. Even if the rumors that Bullet, who escaped from the impelled-down deep-sea prison, joins Lei Luo's command is true, at most he can only suppress Katakuri and still have no chance of winning against Lei Luo, who is on the heavy lot. Even if Lei Luo has 16 captains inherited from Whitebeard, the other children of Mother Charlotte are not vegetarians. Katakuri's 2 brothers, Daifuku and Owen, can entangle Ace and Marco, these 2 high-end combat power. Lei Luo has Bista, a master of swordsmanship, and among the sons and daughters of Aunt Charlotte, she is also very good at swordsmanship, and she even created Mrs. Armand in the field of swordsmanship. The red-haired Shanks kept deducing the possibility of Lei Luo killing Aunt Charlotte in his mind, but after deduction and deduction, there was only one result. That is, Lei Luo, who went to war with Mother Charlotte in the Sea of 10,000 Nations, will suffer a terrible death. Immediately afterwards, an even more absurd and unbelievable idea popped out of my mind. Could it really be? Could it really be that Lei Luo killed Charlotte in a head-to-head confrontation between Huang and Huang? Advertisement. Shanks shook his head, denying the absurd thoughts in his head again, but Shanks' face became more and more gloomy, asking him to believe that Lei Luo killed Mother Charlotte in the head-on battle between the Emperor and the Emperor. Then he would rather believe that Lei Luo borrowed the power of his subordinates, or used some dishonorable means to kill Bigmom. Joke. The Imperial level is just the most basic benchmark for 4 emperors. Even if Lei Luo took a big tonic and rushed to the Imperial city in a short period of time, how could 10 newcomers to the Imperial level fight against the super Aunt Charlotte, who has been immersed in the Imperial level for many years? Shanks let out a long breath, suppressing the mess in his heart. Anyway, Lei Luo has been jumping a little too high recently, and he has to put the flag on the Cake Island. To suppress him, even to suppress him forever. Because if this man is allowed to continue to mess around, he may completely disrupt the delicate pattern of New World 4 emperors in the near future. A person who disrupts his layout, no matter how excellent, must never stay. And at this time, on the warship after the Reed 203 Foss, the marine side also saw the white paper flower pirate flag flying on the Cake Island, and Charlotte, who fell to the ground. Ah la la la. The development of the situation does not seem to be good. Aokiji said the mantra habitually, but his tone was far from the usual relaxed and lazy feeling. The flag of the white paper flower pirates is flying on the Cake Island. Doesn't that mean Lei Luo defeated the old 4 emperors Charlotte? It should be some kind of unclean method. Aokiji muttered to himself, apparently without much confidence in his words. Unbelievable. A few months ago, Lei Luo, who had to fight hard for 3 days to beat his half move, has grown to the point where he can kill the veteran 4 emperors. Regardless of whether the method is clean or not, this guy has definitely done something big enough to shake the whole world. Even when Whitebeard was in power, there were such crazy things as the emperor killing the emperor. Did Bigmom die? It's really scary. Kizaru was also silently reciting his own mantra, but those who were familiar with him could read Kizaru Admiral's inner unrest at the moment from the slightly trembling tone that was half a beat fuller than usual. Akainu Sakazuki remained silent without saying a word, but the movement of reaching down the brim of his hat completely betrayed the shock and astonishment in his heart. The lowered brim of the hat just blocked his eyes that were shaking even the pupils. This mission may be extremely dangerous. Advertisement. Chapter 129. The Conquerors tearing apart the sky, the terrifying conflict with Shanks. Please subscribe. Advertisement. The Redfirth broke through the waves and soon came to the offshore of Cake Island. Looking at the dead body of Charlotte, who looked like a flat hill not far from the coastal pier in front of her, the red-haired eyes froze. Sure enough, the left arm and the left half of the body of this crazy woman were removed. The bone in the right arm was broken inch by inch, and a transparent hole with a diameter of more than 1 meter was opened in the stomach. Before, the distance was too far to see clearly, but after zooming in and looking at the scene in front of him, the red-haired Shanks became more and more convinced that Lei Luo had killed Aunt Charlotte by some disgraceful means. The reason is simple. Just look at the dead body of Aunt Charlotte. The body was severely damaged. It was almost like a one-sided abuse. It was absolutely impossible for Lei Luo alone to do so excessively. You know, Mother Charlotte is born with a copper-skinned iron frame. She doesn't have ghost eyes to limit her devil fruit ability. If several top combat forces are besieging her, who can tear apart an arm from Charlotte? Even his old friend, the world's #1 swordsman, Dracula Mahawk, couldn't do it. And the flesh and blood tissue around the transparent hole in Charlotte's abdomen obviously showed signs of being burned, so it would be impossible to inflict such damage on the copper-skinned and iron-framed Charlotte, unless bombarded with a special cannon. If I remember correctly, Lei Luo has a good scientific worker under him, and it makes sense to develop a cannon against Charlotte's mother. Shanks' eyes moved slowly, and finally landed on Lei Luo. This guy was completely unharmed. Hey, it seems that his speculation is correct. Lei Luo did not rely on his powerful Armament Haki to fight against Charlotte, but designed a plan to attack in groups and win quickly. This just shows that Lei Luo really does not have the ability to confront the veteran four emperors head-on. It can still be crushed. Brother Lei Luo, long time no see. The voice sounded, and the red-haired Shanks jumped off the Redfirth, with only one remaining right arm holding a huge wine jar, and landed firmly in front of Lei Luo. As for Ben Beckman and others, they stood on the bow of the Redfirth in a very sensible manner, and did not follow. Everyone knows that Lei Luo's identity is different now. The one who rejected the invitation of the red-haired Shanks back then, the young man has ascended to the throne from the chairman of a small chamber of commerce. Sitting on an equal footing with redhead Shanks, it's the talk of the king. As the voice fell, the red-haired Shanks unconsciously landed on Boa Hancock, the pirate empress behind Lei Luo, hoping that the meaning of Lei Luo's backing away was self-evident. This is a conversation between the emperor and the emperor. My subordinates understand the rules very well, but the woman behind you doesn't seem to understand much. As for Lei Luo's relationship with One Piece. Advertisement. Shanks doesn't care about this. It can be seen from their positions that this pirate empress respects Lei Luo. Knowing this is enough. Lei Luo seemed not to have seen the hint from Shanks, with a very commercial smile on his face. It's been a long time indeed, don't come here. Shanks frowned indistinctly. He was sure that Lei Luo saw his hint, but this guy pretended not to see it. It really swelled up a lot. Think about it too. Starting from the fierce battle against Aokiji, they have swept all the way and made great strides, and in the Whitebeard extermination campaign, they used one enemy and two to resist the joint siege of Garp and Sengoku, two marines who are still alive, legendary. After that, he took over the foundation of Whitebeard, and the white paper flower pirates rose from the ground, and the name of armed natural disasters resounded throughout the world. Win it all, kill 4 emperors, Charlotte grandmother. This kind of Lei Luo does have inflated capital. But after all, he is too young. Everything is on the surface, and he doesn't know how to hide it. Although he has been named emperor, there is still a big gap from the real emperor pattern. But for young people, they have successively achieved achievements that ordinary people would not be able to achieve in a lifetime. It is normal to swell up, just tap and tap. But if beating is useless, then he can only be pulled down from the throne. That's Lei Luo's brother's car. It's really magnificent. It's even more magnificent than Whitebeard's car Moby DK. His eyes fell on the docked ship not far away, and Shanks tapped Lei Luo indiscriminately. The subtext was easy to understand, implying that Lei Luo was bigger than Whitebeard back then. Although it was an invisible beating, Shanks knew Lei Luo very well, and he must have heard that as long as the kid's attitude restrained a little, he could talk about business as a matter of course. But Lei Luo still kept that commercial smile. I'll send you a boat another day. Shanks' expression froze slightly. Lei Luo wants to send him a boat. Do not be silly. This disobedient kid had something to say, secretly saying that this was nothing to him, and to put it bluntly, it was his identity and strength, which made him worthy of this ship and such an arrogance. Shanks's appearance was not good enough. He sat down on the spot, lifted the lid that was bigger than a human face and turned it over to serve as a wine bowl, filled the bowl with wine, and poured it into the large wine jar in Lei Luoyang's hand. It's a pity that I didn't get to participate before I was enthroned, but now my brother has defeated the BIGMOM pirates and won the Kingdom of Nations. Congratulations, have a drink. The voice sounded, and the wine jar was thrown directly at Lei Luo. Lei Luo took the wine jar in his hand. My brother's kindness is hard to turn down, I will accompany you. The two of them put the wine aside in a tacit understanding, and neither of them had any intention of drinking. Shanks said bluntly. Apart from congratulating my brother for winning the Wangguo, there is one more thing to ask for this time. Advertisement. Tell me the story, Lei Luo said indifferently. The anger in Shanks' heart is getting more and more intense. If he is really on the throne, everything will be different. This kid's shelf is really stable. Brother, my brother treats you as one of his own, so I tell you this. Since the Emperor has been named, we must use the Emperor's pattern and vision to look at the problem. How does Brother Yuan plan to deal with the territory of the Sea of Nations? Lei Luo smiled coldly. It seems that he guessed right, Shanks really came to sell face again. The tone changed, showing coldness and playfulness. What do you think of the red-haired man? Of course, Shanks read the playfulness in Lei Luo's words, and said in a calm voice. In New World, the four emperors stood together, and the current situation was stable, but now my brother has conquered the 10,000 kingdoms, causing a corner of the four emperors to collapse. I am afraid that this stability will no longer exists. Let me just say it. Brother, you conquered all nations, killed people, and got angry. It's time to stop. Also please, Nuo Qian Zhao brother, please do me a favor, this hot potato in Wangguo Haiyu, just throw it away. The pattern of the New World four emperors standing together cannot be broken. Also, bro, although you have inherited Whitebeard's lifetime foundation, you have to control two lands at the same time. You can't eat this piece of fat, and it's easy to choke to death. Bro, I'm also doing it for 1377. Before the words finished, Lei Luo sneered and said in a very playful tone, it seems that the red-haired brother really treats me as his own, but what if I have to eat it? The atmosphere fell silent instantly, Shanks did not speak, and Lei Luo did not continue. Moment. Ha 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 ha. The two sea emperors laughed out loud at the same time. Shanks. Must eat. Lei Luo. You must eat. Decorate. So there's nothing to talk about. Shanks sighed lightly, and the world's #1 Conqueror's Haki burst out instantly, manifesting red and black lightning, crushing towards Lei Luo overwhelmingly. Advertisement. Chapter 130. The shocking confrontation between the world's #1 armed color and the world's #1 conquerors. Please subscribe. Advertisement. It is worthy of being the #1 Conqueror's Haki in the world. The crimson lightning that burst out of the body and manifested in an instant is far faster and more violent than Kaido of the Beasts, Conqueror's Haki. The overwhelming Conqueror's Haki spread, and the surrounding atmosphere trembled violently, even the stones on the nearby ground were instantly shattered into powder. Standing not far behind Lei Luo, Boa Hancock, the pirate empress, turned pale for a while, her whole body was churning in disorder, her chest was tight, and even breathing became difficult. Too tough. Conqueror's Haki by four emperors redhead Shanks. This feeling is like overwhelming, standing on the absolute commanding heights, subduing all living beings, making all living beings bow their heads. Although she is also carrying Conqueror's Haki, how can the overlord color of the person who stretches into the world and descends into the sea be of any use in front of the Emperor's conquerors? Red-haired Shanks has a cold look in his eyes. I hope he can subdue Lei Luo this time, otherwise, if he pulls this kid down from the throne, he will have to support two new emperors at once, trouble. But in the next moment, a particularly obvious sense of astonishment and surprise flashed in the eyes of the red-haired Shanks. I saw the world's most powerful Conqueror's Haki rushing towards Lei Luo like a torrent, but under the pressure of his extremely powerful Conqueror's Haki, Lei Luo remained motionless. And he didn't release a trace of aura, just resisting his Conqueror's Haki with his physical body. How is this possible? His Conqueror's Haki has been tempered to the point that it can crush a large ship with its aura alone. Even if Lei Luo is extremely armed and mentally resolute, it is absolutely impossible for him to be safe. Facing the surging Conqueror's Haki that kept rushing towards him, Lei Luo had a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Brother Shanks, according to the rules of pirates, whoever conquers the territory will belong to him. I'm just playing by the rules, what's the problem? The voice sounded, and Lei Luo's own extremely powerful and domineering aura was also swept away. It was only for a moment, and Shanks, Conqueror's Haki, which spread wildly and turbulently in the audience, was pushed back by this incomparably domineering and powerful aura. Moreover, this invisible domineering aura actually forms an invisible protective shield in front of Lei Luo. No matter how tyrannical and fierce Shanks' Conqueror's Haki is, it will be difficult for him to invade. The moment the invisible aura shield opened, the pirate empress behind Lei Luo breathed a sigh of relief, the sense of suffocation disappeared, and the blood all over her body stabilized again. She looked at Lei Luo's back in disbelief. This man, suppressed 723 red-haired Shanks with the world's first Conqueror's Haki. Hiss. Boa Hancock sucked in the cold sea breeze unconsciously. Lei Luo without Conqueror's Haki actually suppressed the red-haired Shanks who has the world's first Conqueror's Haki. The rise and advancement of this man has become an unstoppable trend potential. On the deck of the Redfirth offshore, seeing the two people fighting in aura, the officers and crew of red-hair pirates were all taken aback. What's the situation? That Lei Luo suppressed the red-haired boss. No, it's impossible. The red-haired boss Conqueror's Haki is the #1 in the world, even Kaido of the Beasts can't stop him. How old is this Lei Luo? Why is he? An incredible, unbelievable atmosphere quickly spread on the Redfirth. Ben Beckman, Yisabu and other cadres looked at each other in blank dismay, and looked at each other, and they all saw the shock and bewilderment in each other's eyes. As cadres, their horizons are wider than those of the common crew, and of course they can see more from this abrupt aura competition. The eyes of almost all cadres were fixed on the wine bowl in front of Shanks and the wine jar beside Lei Luo. Such a fierce aura collided, even the surrounding stones and gravel were instantly turned into powder. Even though they were so far apart, they still felt depressed for a while, but the wine bowl and jar were all intact. However, it is not difficult to see how fierce the collision between the two is from the continuously stirring but not spilled wine in the wine bowl. Ben Beckman puffed on his cigarette. He was in a turbulent state. He didn't realize that the cigarette in his mouth had burned to the filter. In the previous Whitebeard extermination campaign, he saw with his own eyes how Lei Luo was completely suppressed by Shanks. But Shanks didn't give his best at that time. Before exerting all his strength, Lei Luo could only withstand the pressure, but after a long time, Lei Luo had reached the terrifying point where he could rival Shanks, who was going all out with all his strength. In just a few months, he jumped from below the Emperor rank to the terrifying level of being able to face the old Emperor rank head-on. This kind of rapid improvement in strength was something he never dreamed of before. Compared to Ben Beckman, who was too shocked to speak, the red-haired Shanks' complexion suddenly sank, and he narrowed his eyes, hiding the shock and inconceivable pain in his eyes. Damn, how did this kid's aura become so strong? He who was in the head-on collision with Lei Luo felt the most intuitively. During the Whitebeard annihilation campaign, he personally weighed Lei Luo's weight. At that time, although Lei Luo had a strong aura and courage, he could only defend a corner in the face of his world's most powerful Conqueror's Haki. Barely resist. Advertisement. But how long has it been? He has actually reached the point where he can confront him head-on and stand up to him. Everyone knows that Armament Haki is difficult to practice, but they don't know that Conqueror's Haki is more difficult every time it is improved, and it is difficult for people without Conquerors to develop a strong spirit that can compete with Conqueror's Haki. According to his previous estimation, although Lei Luo is a talented monster, it will take at least 20 years to catch up with him, but this, just a few short months. It's too scary. This kid's talent and momentum are too scary. If we say that Lei Luo's fearless aura gave him the feeling that he dared to break the sky and smash the earth, and wanted to smash everything in front of him. Then now, Lei Luo's aura gave him the feeling that he wanted to ascend to the sky covering. He really felt the incomparable ambition from Lei Luo's aura. This guy wanted to stand on the sky, not only to trample the earth under his feet, but also to trample the sea and the sky under his feet. Standing on the absolute commanding heights, let all living beings and all things tremble and surrender under his feet. There was a violent tremor in Shanks' heart, not only because of Lei Luo, but more because the situation was developing towards the direction he least wanted to see. I thought I could stabilize Lei Luo for at least 20 years, but now Lei Luo seems to be on the verge of losing control. For a ruler, there is nothing more terrifying than an uncontrollable sunspot appearing on the chessboard. At this time, Lei Luo smiled coldly. Thank you, Brother Shanks, for your kind words. But again, I have laid down the territory, then it is mine. Lei Luo picked up the wine jar beside him. Thank you, bro, for the congratulatory wine. If you want to drink in the future, you can come to me anytime. But anyone who wants to point fingers at my territory is my enemy, Lei Luo. He raised the wine jar, signaled the redhead to raise his glass, and at the same time said in a very playful tone, please, brother, give me some face. You. The red-haired Shanks didn't say these words in his throat, but his squinted eyes stared fiercely, and the anger in his heart surged up again and again, and he became angry instantly. It was as if a raging smoldering fire was scorching the heart and lungs. Please do me a favor. The extremely familiar words fell into his ears, which made Shanks feel extremely harsh. Hey, yeah, great. He has always been the only one who sells his four emperors red-haired Shanks face. Lei Luo is the first one who dares to let his red-haired Shanks buy face. Want him to save face? Then you have to see how many catties you weigh. A look of tyranny and gloom flashed in Shanks' eyes, and he reached out to pick up the wine bowl in front of him. He never imagined that this trip to the seas of all nations would be so embarrassing and aggrieved. One of the two held the wine bowl and the other the wine jar, and they collided in the void. Gurgling. Tun, Oj. At this moment, the whole world seemed to be quiet, without the noise of the sea breeze or the chirping of seabirds. It seemed that there were only two men with rolling throats left under the sky and the sound of the two swallowing their drinks continuously. Shangyan became extremely solemn. Next moment, slap, crack, the two sea emperors dropped the wine utensils in their hands in an incomparable tacit understanding. Clang. The blade grazed the scabbard. Shanks suddenly pulled out the famous sword griffin from his waist. An extremely intense red-black lightning arc flashed on the dark and deep blade, and slashed towards Lei Luo blatantly. Lei Luo's speed was faster, as black as ink, and as deep as an abyss. Armament Haki surged out, covered his fist in an instant, and then overflowed, armed the air, and in just a short moment, a substance like a black scale cuticle covered the air on the fist. The fist also swelled up 3 times. Between lightning and flint, clang. The fist collided with the famous sword, and the absolute domain of the extreme armed forces also collided with the world's #1 Conqueror's Haki, and the sound of gold and iron clashing was as loud as heaven and earth. Billows of smoke and dust instantly rose up behind Shanks, and the atmosphere visibly trembled for a moment before spreading backwards, while the pirate Empress Boa Hancock behind Lei Luo also stepped back a dozen steps in a row to stabilize her figure. His throat was sweet, and the blood surged against him. Incomparable astonishment was written in her beautiful eyes. After all, she was also one of the top 3 beings in 7 warlords of the sea, yet she was so embarrassed by the shock. What was even more frightening was that it was only 2 people who shocked her back again and again. It's just the aftermath of the powerful confrontation of the Emperor of the Sea. Advertisement. The Marines headed by Akainu Sakazuki did not rush to the coast of Cake Island until this time. Compared with the Redforth equipped with the jet acceleration device produced by the White Paper Flower Merchant Association, their warship is too slow. At this moment, the three Marine admirals looked up at the sky in unison. No matter Akainu, Aokiji or Kizaru, their eyes widened instantly, and the pupils in their eyes trembled uncontrollably. In the field of vision, the clouds above Cake Island split apart clearly. The tens of meters long crack looks like the sky was torn apart by the aftermath of the collision, and the crack is still going on. Expansion. The three eyes moved slowly, and when they landed on Lei Luo and Shanks who were facing each other on the Cake Island, the six eyes trembled fiercely again. Lei Luo and that red-haired Shanks collided head-on. Aokiji stared in disbelief, a strong unbelievable feeling swept through his body uncontrollably. Kizaru was silent, and his face was so dark that water dripped out. It is unbelievable that Lei Luo has the strength to compete head-on with the red-haired Shanks. Then, will Lei Luo kill Bigmom head-on? No, impossible. Kizaru immediately denied it, and even he himself was taken aback by the idea that suddenly popped into his head. Lei Luo kill Bigmom head-on, it was too ridiculous. Akainu took a deep breath. Tone, try to keep yourself in the face of the landslide without changing your face, silently take out the video phone bug, and record everything in front of you. These are first-hand information, yes. Military merit is to make five elders re-emphasize his capital. Ben Beckman on the Redforth saw the arrival of the three admirals from the Marine, and silently drew his gun. Although he was a little dazed by the scene in front of him, no matter what. Let the guys from Marine disturb the contest between the two emperors. Sparks are splashing on the Cake Island, fists and famous knives are in constant stalemate. Lei Luo's strength keeps increasing, but he always maintains that indifferent appearance. The red-haired Shanks is biting his teeth gradually, cold sweat slips from the tip of his nose, his eyes are full of shock, but more. What's more is doubt and inconceivable. What is that scaly cuticle-like thing covering Lei Luo's arm? What's the matter with his fist suddenly growing 3 circles? Shanks, who has always been able to maintain a high level of calm in battle, can hardly suppress all kinds of distracting thoughts that are constantly flashing in his mind at this moment. Lei Luo's achievements on Armament Haki. Obviously beyond his understanding of Armament Haki. About a quarter of an hour passed. Admiral Kizaru murmured, extremely rare lack of confidence, as the oldest existence among the three admirals in Marine. Just now, he clearly burst out from Lei Luo. Could it be that no one in this sea can hold him down anymore? I saw Shanks on the coastal pier of Cake Island put away the knife with an extremely gloomy face, and said coldly to Lei Luo, okay. Today, I will sell your face. Lei Luo. But in the next second, Akainu, who pretended to be in front of the landslide without changing his face, couldn't hold back anymore. It's incredible. The horny layer on Lei Luo's arm shattered and dissipated into a cloud of black mist. Chong Yue felt the pressure. The sound of thunderous air explosion exploded from the core position of the contest between the two, and Lei Luo and Shanks stepped back in unison. The Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki covering the blade of Shanks' famous knife Griffin also faded at the same time, but if you look closely, you will find that there are fine cracks on the blade. Boom. Lei Luo, who faced him several months ago and had to fight hard for 3 days and 3 nights to barely beat him with a half move, suppressed the veteran 4 emperors with a strong posture in a head-on collision, and the bounty was as high as 40. Lei Luo 5.5 steps, Gu Kesi hole. The red-haired guy probably didn't use his full strength, probably. Lei Luo suppressed red-haired Shanks. Akainu Sakazuki is always holding a video phone to record everything in front of him, but his slightly trembling fingers when he presses the shutter is declaring that he is not at peace in his heart. Clang. On the deck of the warship, Admiral Aokiji's hand holding the ship's side suddenly tightened, and the ship's side was crushed with a click. 48.9 million berries red-haired Shanks, this feeling, it's magic. Advertisement.